Hello, ladies, hello. How are you guys doing? Happy Friday. Oh, and by the way, happy Easter. I know I'm a little bit late to the party. Wishing you guys a happy Easter. But I completely forgot to. It's just like this week has just been so fucking crazy. It just totally slipped my mind. So happy Easter, you guys. It's just like, I mean, I don't know where you guys live. I'm in Northern California and it's just been an absolutely gorgeous spring. Hello, as you guys get on live. I love to say hi, send you some little love. So as you come on live, go ahead and say like hello in the comments below so that I can say hi when you get on. And if you're catching this on the replay, hashtag replay. So yeah, happy Easter, happy spring. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful time. You know, Easter has never really like been like my super favorite holiday, but Easter food is pretty legit. I mean, let's be real, like freaking honey roasted hams, so many little cakes and little potato dishes. It's just, that is so right up my alley. I've always had a thing for Easter food. Oh, so good. So I hope everybody had some good food on Easter. One food that, you know, used to be like an Easter staple, actually like, okay, if I'm being real, not just Easter, kind of year round. But you know those little like frosted sugar cookies you can get in the store that, you know, have like the pink or, you know, yellow icing and the little sprinkles on it. So let me tell you a story about those cookies and why I can't eat them anymore. So, you know, back in high school, when, you know, my weight was like skyrocketing, I was super depressed, you know, didn't feel good in my body, really judgmental of myself. And that's when like my binging was like at its highest. Okay, like this is when it was like really bad. I was getting bullied at school a lot, and you know, food was like my way of coping with that. That was like come home, eat. That's how I like recovered from the day of, you know, torment. Anyway, so my bus stop, very unfortunately, was a grocery store. Awesome for a binger. And you know, my parents would give me like some money after, you know, to you know, buy some food after school because they were teachers and they like couldn't pick me up till much later. So I just would chill, you know, kind of at the little coffee shop and the little grocery store until they came to pick me up. And on Fridays, it was always my ritual. On Fridays, I would take, you know, like my, you know, $5 or so that they gave me, and I'd go in the grocery store and I would buy an entire pack of those frosted sugar cookies and a huge family pack of Doritos. And that was Friday night. That was Friday night. That was Saturday night. Just binge eating those. I would take those down in like an evening. And, you know, it was something I was super ashamed of. So, you know, I would hide it in my backpack, and, you know, I'd put like my sweatshirt on top of it so my parents didn't find out, they didn't see. You know, after I'd finished, like I would take it not even to like the garbage can like in the kitchen. I would take it like to the outside one and like pick up and like stuff it under so nobody found out. And, you know, it was something that I was so ashamed of, that it's like I felt this pressure to like, I can't let them even know that food is in my room. So but I couldn't wait till I went to bed. Like that was too long. Like I needed, you know, that comfort, the release that those sugar cookies gave me. Like that was so important to like come down off of school, you know. So if you guys are emotional eaters, I'm sure you understand that. Like you've been there, of like that, like the emotional attachment to that food is just so strong that it really is like an addiction, and you can't go very long without it. So I would come home, you know, and, you know, stash my food, my guilt food, my comfort food in the back of my closet. And like as soon as I'd get in, I'd tell my mom like, I'm changing, like don't come in. And, you know, would eat like 2 or 3 cookies and like a handful of chips. And then, you know, had to play it cool, right? Had to play it cool. All right. So it's like, oh God, can't let them know what's going on in here. I got to be quiet. So, you know, I'd go out, you know, hang out with my family, you know, we'd have dinner. And then, you know, on Friday nights, usually it was like movie night, right? So we'd, you know, after dinner, we'd all watch a movie as a family. And I remember so clearly, I couldn't, like, as good as the movie was, guess where my mind was? It was in the back of that closet with the food, with the sugar cookies, with the Doritos. And so, like, we'd be watching this movie and I would just be thinking, like, oh my God, how can I get a cookie? How can I get some Doritos? Like, and I would make up, like, in my mind, every time I tell this story, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. Because in my mind, it was this big thing. Like, I was definitely doing something wrong. I was definitely doing something that I should be ashamed of. I was definitely like, oh my God, if my parents found out, they would, like, I don't know, like, ground me, kick me out, I don't know. Anyway, so I thought I was being super cool, like 007, of, like, super sneaky. I'd be like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom, or, you know, I gotta, you know, go grab something from my room. I gotta check something. And I'd go in my room and, like, sneak to the back of my closet and try to eat these foods, like these cookies, like, and the Doritos, like, as quietly as I can. And oh my God, have you guys noticed that, like, the foods that you tend to, like, gravitate towards, like, emotional eating, that those foods that you're, like, feel guilty about and you, like, beat yourself up, come in, like, the most loud wrappers, like the containers, like those little freaking plastic boxes to open up. It's like, God, it's like sounding like gravel in a blender. So loud. You cannot open those things quietly. So I eventually learned, and I just left them open. But even, like, the Doritos bag was like one at a time, like trying to eat these Doritos by the handful as quietly as possible. And these cookies, you know. And it's like, just every time that story, just, I mean, now I can laugh about it. But it's like, back then, it wasn't funny. It was something I was really, really ashamed of, but it was the only way I knew how to cope. You know, like I said, my parents were teachers. They were starting their own school at this time, so, like, they were super busy. They were super, you know, they weren't really present. And so I spent a lot of time, you know, by myself, you know, in high school. And I didn't have a whole lot of friends. You know, I was always pretty introverted, so I didn't have a whole lot of friends. And so I was getting bullied and, like, tormented at school, not having any friends, coming home alone. And, you know, food was my companion. It became my friend. It became, you know, the thing to fill the void, you know, the silence, the fact that, you know, I'm not getting invited to all the parties. Well, that's okay. If I don't get invited to the parties, I've got this entire bag of Doritos to eat anyway. I'm too busy. That was kind of the logic behind it. And yeah, I remember so clearly just the food being so powerful in those moments, like watching the movies, like knowing that the sugar cookies are there, and just, like, it was just like a radar going up, like beep, 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 food in the vicinity, right? And, like, I couldn't think of anything else. And, you know, I'm sure you guys understand this, that you've been in those places where it's just like the food feels so overpowering that you can't think about anything else. It literally, like, consumes your life, right? It's freaking crazy town. It's freaking crazy town. And, you know, the reason why I tell these stories, and, you know, is because, like, not only have I been where you are. You know, if you're struggling with food, if you're struggling with addiction, if, you know, you're a binge eater, you know, or, like, massively addicted to diets, and you know, just feeling like you can't get out, girl, I feel you large. Feel you large. I walked that road. I've been caught in that cycle. I struggled with the same struggles you did for a really long time. I ate myself up to 220 pounds, size 18, miserable and depressed, and I stayed there for 12 years, just gaining and losing and gaining and losing. So it's like, I've been where you are, okay? And this is why I tell these stories, is because now, you know, that was, you know, a long time ago, like, you know, over like close to 15-20 years ago. But you know, like I didn't get out of that from dieting. I got out of that through mindful eating. And, you know, mindful eating not only helped me lose the weight, but it helped me like get out of that mindset and break that addiction to food. And it helped me like really go back and heal what was really wrong. What was that shame? What was all of that was driving this eating in the first place? What was I trying to numb with food? What was I trying to cope with food that had just been buried? And there was like no diet was going to touch that. And so why I share these stories and, you know, tell you guys so, you know, vulnerably about like the craziest shit I did with food and like the most insane things that I ate, and like that literally, guys, every Friday night, fucking sugar cookies and Doritos, that I would take it down in an evening. Other things I would do was like I would eat an entire 12 box of donuts in one day, or like a weekend sometimes. Okay, so it was bad. It was really bad. But why I tell you these stories and why I just like share my experience with you guys is because to show you that it can be done. It can be overcome. Okay? I mean, I can't eat those sugar cookies anymore. Like, I just see them and I just kind of go, whoa. You know, like, I can't eat those cookies anymore. But I've healed my relationship with food. I really, really have. Food does not have that emotional tie anymore. I love food. I love, love, love food. Healing your relationship with food does not have to mean giving up food. It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. You can have the most vibrant, awesome, beautiful, delicious relationship with food. You just have to heal it. You just have to heal it. Okay? And you have to stop letting emotion get in it. Okay? Emotion should not be a reason to eat. Okay? Nourishing your body is the reason you should be eating. But unfortunately, we've learned, we've been taught along the way that, you know, I mean, what happens when you break up? Chocolate and ice cream, right? It's a friggin' Band-Aid. Like, as women, we're taught from like age 2 that chocolate is a Band-Aid. Okay, so you learned all of this. Like, emotion creeped in and all this stuff creeped in over time. But yeah, eating should have nothing to do with emotion. And, you know, so that's the mission. Okay, so when we do mindful eating, when you join my program, in my 16-week mindful eating boot camp, Take Your Life Back, that's what we do, is we unwind all of this. You learn to take emotion out of eating and really heal your relationship with food so you don't have to run from it anymore. You don't have to hide it in the back of your closet like a freaking squirrel. Right? So, yeah, and it's just such a beautiful journey. It really, really is. It's definitely something that I feel like you should gift to yourself. It will be the best gift you ever give to yourself. Can you imagine that? Giving yourself the gift of not struggling with food anymore? Would that be just like the best gift ever? To give yourself that freedom and to give yourself that confidence and break the bonds of dieting. That's really what we're talking about here. Okay, so, and you know, so just to kind of wrap it up, you know, it's like, I guess this is like considered my Easter message, even though it's like pretty much a week like late. We're rolling with it. One of my clients, I just want to share this real quick. I just want to celebrate one of my amazing clients and just share it with you guys what is possible. You know, when you start mindful eating and you join this program, you start working with me. So I have a client right now. She is in module 2. Okay, so she's only been going like 3 weeks, and when it came around on Easter, she didn't overeat. She didn't binge. And this is a woman who, you know, had, you know, struggled with binging and emotional eating for a really, really long time. And, you know, just 2-3 weeks in, she was like, I like didn't even really think about the food. She's like, it was just like, nope, I'm not hungry. I'm not going to eat. She was, you know, cooking, and she, you know, she was taking like the little snacks, like, you know, taste testing, you know, as you're cooking. But she was like, normally I would be snacking, I would be eating all day. She was like, I didn't do that. I just didn't even think about it. She's like, it didn't even occur to me. And she was telling me that, you know, normally after Easter, she just feels sick. Like, she just eats way too much, and by the time the Easter meal is over, she's just like, oh my God, like, just, you know, that feeling of just you ate way too much and you just feel sick. And so she was like, that's just been my Easter story for years. That's been the experience. And she was like, that didn't happen this time. She was like, I walked away. She's like, I ate exactly what I wanted. She didn't deprive herself. She had cake. She had, you know, everything she wanted. But she used her mindful eating tools that I taught her in the program. And she pulled them out and she used them and she applied them. And she walked away from Easter feeling empowered, feeling energetic, feeling good about herself, feeling not deprived, and just comfortable and confident in her body. And just like, she was like, that is the first time I've ever felt not weighted down by food. Freaking huge moment, right? I mean, I tell everybody, you know, when I have a breakthrough call with everybody, you know, I tell them, like, one of the things that we work on in the program. Hi, Celia. How you doing, love? But what I tell them, you know, that we're going to work on in the program is, like, giving them this confidence to, you know, walk into any party, any holiday, any potluck, any situation that is going to be a lot of food, and just feel cool as a cucumber. And, like, not be freaked out, not be stressed, be able to walk in, eat everything that you want, using your mindful eating tools, and walk out feeling awesome. You didn't overeat. You stayed in charge the entire time. And that's what I tell people on the breakthrough calls, that, like, you're going to experience this. This is what I'm going to teach you how to do. I told her when she told me the story, I was like, I've never had somebody do it in 2 weeks. So it just freaking blew my mind how powerful these tools are. My clients blow my mind all the freaking time. Like, they're insane rock stars. You know, the results they get, it's just insane. I freaking love these women. But yeah, so she came in, like, really took to the mindset work, started applying the tools, and she was able to have the best Easter of her life, where she just got to feel that empowering, not controlled by food, eating everything she wants, and walk away feeling awesome. I'm like, isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream? Really, isn't that the goal? To not have to diet, to not have to stress, to not have to count calories, to not have to worry about how many carbs, just be able to show up, enjoy the, like, your family, your friends, the event, and not have food be that, like consuming your mind. Be able to eat what you love, not deprive yourself, not feel overfull, and walk away feeling great. Like, isn't that the goal? That's what you've been dreaming of. I guarantee you that that's what you've been, like, praying for. It's like, this is what I want. Well, here's your opportunity, love. Here it is. Celia, I wished. Wish granted, babe. Come join the program. Seriously. It's, you know, if this is what you've been wanting, if, like, what I just described is like, oh my God, that's the dream. Oh my God, I want that. Right here. Here it is. It's right here for you. I'm giving you the out. I'm going to teach you how to get that. This isn't like a pipe dream, guys. This is real. This is real. And Celia, I know it's a struggle. I know it's a struggle, babe. I struggled for so long. Celia's saying, however, I'm a comfort food eater. I know. Celia, go back and watch from the beginning of this video. I was talking about how I used to, like, sit in my closet and eat cookies, like those little frosted sugar cookies, every Friday night, binge eating comfort food because I was so lonely and depressed in high school because I was bullied. Massive comfort food. But I broke free of that through mindful eating, through the exact tools that I teach in my program now. Okay? So there's really no excuse. Okay? There is no, there is no story I haven't worked with. There is no situation I haven't been able to pull a woman out of. If you've struggled with binge eating, I don't care if you've been a binge eater for 30, 40 years. You can do this. I don't care how, see, even Jackson's backing me up. He's like, yeah, you can do it. Preach, Jackson, preach. Yeah, so it doesn't matter, how enmeshed you are with food in terms of comfort and emotion and all of that. It doesn't matter. It can all be undone. It can all be unlearned. You can change your relationship with food, Celia, and everybody else listening. You can change your relationship with food. I don't care how bad it is. You can change it. You just have to decide to. And you have to decide to stop giving more power to your excuses and to your past story than to your results. Okay, so it's like, Celia, if you want to stay in that story and stay with the identity of it's always a struggle and I'm just always going to be a comfort eater, if you want to keep that, that's a choice. If you want to keep wearing that name badge and keep carrying that identity around, that's a choice. You can do that. But you can also choose to change it. And you can choose to take action and go, okay, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to do this anymore. We're going to change it. And if you're ready to do that, come join the program. That's what we do. All right? So, again, there is nothing you can't undo. You guys are beautiful. You're powerful. There is nothing you can't do when you don't set your mind to it. And you don't have to do this alone. Okay? I know this feels like a massive mountain that's like, I don't even know where to start. That's why you don't have to have it figured out. That's why you come hire me. That's why you work with me. I show you. I give you my tools. I give you the roadmap. I give you everything you need to overcome all of this. Okay? And it only takes 16 weeks. And like I said, my one client, 3 weeks in, had the best Easter of her life. This happens fast, guys. It happens really, really fast. So if you're ready for that, if you're ready to change that identity, change your relationship with food, come work with me. All right? I love you guys so much. Again, happy belated Easter. Happy spring. I love you guys so much. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. I love you. Bye. So how do I eat like a normal person? It's a question I get a lot. And now I actually don't really like the term normal eating. But in this video, I will teach you how to eat like a naturally slim person using mindful eating this holiday season. So I just wanted to pop in here and share this video because with the holidays coming up and they're just around the corner, you're probably really triggered around food and you're probably stressing out about, you know, how you're going to keep yourself from overeating with the holidays and being surrounded by food. So I wanted to share this strategy with you so that you can enjoy the foods that are around you without depriving yourself and without overdoing it. Okay, so it's super, super important that you start implementing this right now, especially right now going into the holidays. So the first thing that I want to share with you is why I wanted to make this video. So as my family started planning Thanksgiving, we're creating a list of all these foods that we're going to cook and all the different dishes that everybody's going to bring. And as I started looking at the list, I was like, oh wow, like this is not how I normally eat. These are not the foods that I normally eat. Lots of cheese, lots of cream, lots of sugar, tons of potatoes, starches and fats, you know, all these things that I don't normally eat. So I immediately, as I was looking at the list, I immediately went into mindful eating mode. And I started breaking out my tools and planning on how I was going to navigate my way through all this food. Because I was once exactly where you are, okay? I was overweight. Holidays terrified me. You know, I couldn't control myself around food. I would just stand next to the buffet, just like eating the snacks just uncontrollably. I hated being in family pictures, you know, all of these things. But the only difference between you now and me now is that I now have the tools and the strategies to navigate through all of this now. Food no longer controls me, okay? And I've learned to take charge of my life and my eating. So that is literally the only difference. It's just I've learned the tools and I implement them. But, you know, 10 years ago, the holidays would have sent me into a tailspin, literally a tailspin. I would have been stressing out. I would have been eating everything I could get my hands on, and then I would go punish myself at the gym. I would cut back on certain foods. I would restrict myself. I would track my calories, only to completely blow it then a little bit later. And you know, I had zero self-control when it came to food, and especially Christmas cookies. Like, oh my God, don't even get me started on Christmas cookies, how I used to be with Christmas cookies. But I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. So if you are still, so let's get into the skills. How do you eat like a naturally slim person this holiday season? So the first thing is, if you are still shaming yourself about something you ate, that is actually only going to fuel binging and overeating even more. Okay, so the first step towards normal eating is to stop the shame and the blame. Okay, stop shaming and blaming yourself over what you eat. If you do overeat, just accept it. Move on, and then, you know, next time you're hungry, the next meal rolls around, just go back to eating normally. Just make a different choice next time. You don't need to be shaming and blaming yourself over after every time you overeat or you eat something that's, you know, off plan or falling off the wagon. You don't need to do any of that. So no more, I've got to get back on my diet on Monday, or man, I really blew it, I have to get back into the gym. Any of that kind of stuff. Okay. So the second step to eating like a naturally slim person or normally, or like a mindful eater during the holidays, is to actually, you know, when you're eating your food, make sure you're enjoying it. Really make sure you're enjoying that flavor and all of those foods. So if you, because if you're planning on, you know, trying to go through the holidays still on a diet, you know, or to follow a certain plan, like say the keto plan, and if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied with those foods that you're supposed to be eating, it's not something you're going to stick to, especially during the holidays when there's all these foods that you do actually want to eat all around you. It's going to be really, really hard to stick to that plan. So you're just going to, you know, create more cravings. Those cravings are just going to come knocking, and they're going to come knocking pretty loud because you're trying to keep yourself in this little box when, you know, again, there's all this food around you, this abundance of delicious food that you do want to eat. Okay. Let's see, I lost my spot in my notes. Okay, so just shoot for balance. Okay, so just shoot for balance. And you know, I think anyone who's struggled with their body, struggled with cravings, emotional eating, overeating, has a tendency to kind of, you know, overdo it sometimes. And this, I'm totally guilty of this. I totally used to overdo it. And, you know, go a bit off the rails and do extreme things. So like, you know, extreme dieting, extreme restriction, and that even goes with extreme overeating. Okay, so one of the things that I teach in my coaching program is how to kind of calm those extremes and how to find that balance so you're not doing those extreme eating, extreme cravings, extreme overeating, extreme dieting, all of that. We just kind of calm all of that down. Okay, so finding that balance has always been the thing that works best for me. And you know, that balance changes. It changes day to day, week to week. You know, there's some days where I want a really good balance of carbs, protein, and fats. And then there's other days where I want more carbs. Then there's other days where I want more protein. Okay, so it's constantly changing. So you have to kind of really get in tune with your body and experiment a little bit and figure out what balance works for you for that day, and learning to listen to your body. Okay, so this is something that I've gotten really, really good at, and that's another one of the skills that I teach in my coaching program, and I teach all my students, is how to tune in and understand what your body's telling you and what balance of those things you need at any given time. So you know, because our bodies are constantly changing. Okay, so this holiday, eat what you want. Don't restrict yourself and enjoy it. Okay, so don't deny yourself the pie and the potatoes. Just enjoy them in balance with everything else. Unless you're on some kind of diet that you're actually really, really enjoying. You know, maybe you found yourself on keto and you're actually really enjoying the food. You know, you feel really good. Maybe you don't miss carbs. Maybe you don't, you know, have sugar cravings. You know, maybe that's not an issue for you and you're really loving the keto diet. Then great. If you're happy as a clam on that, then do that. You know, life is about, you know, living and enjoying. And so if that is something you're enjoying, keep doing that. Okay, but if that's not something you're enjoying, and that's not your jam, and that's not what's vibing with you, then, you know, don't try to stuff yourself in that little box and force yourself to eat foods that you don't enjoy and deprive yourself of all the foods that you do. So again, balance. Find the balance. And, you know, a good, like I said, a good balance of carbs, fats, and proteins is what works for my body. But again, you have to experiment with your own body and figure out kind of what works best for you, and really paying attention to, you know, how you're feeling. You know, do I feel good? Do I feel tired? Am I hungry? Do I have really intense cravings? Do I feel deprived? You know, and I'm really big on not depriving myself. I teach my clients how not to deprive themselves. You know, so I let myself eat whatever I want, but I do it in a way where I don't go like nuts. I don't go crazy nutso off the rails anymore, because I have the mindful eating skills and the tools that allow me to do that. Okay. So, you know, I can have a bite of a burger, a couple fries, you know, a cupcake, you know, and all that, and then just like walk away, no problem, with ease and confidently, because, you know, I have the tools and the skills to do that. So if you're a student of mine, you have these skills too. I teach these skills like pretty quick in the program. And, you know, I got to tell you, my clients, my students are freaking rocking this skill. They are freaking rocking it and knocking it out of the park. I actually had a woman just the other day who she was able to go out and buy her #1 guilty pleasure food. The food that before doing coaching with me, she had no control over this food. Okay, and she was able to go out and buy it, keep it up in her cupboard, and she only had 2 pieces the entire week. And this is a woman who like would have taken down the entire bag in like 2 hours beforehand. Okay, so that is just so freaking cool. And so this is 100% doable. This is 100% doable, okay? And so one of those other skills that I teach in my program is how to overcome those cravings. And this is something you have to do. You have to do this, because if you don't really start looking at your cravings and dissecting them and figuring out what's going on, you'll have no way to determine if this craving is actually your body telling you it needs something, like actually a sign of hunger, or if it's an emotional, psychological trigger. Okay, so if food is emotionally charged and wrapped up in you know, some psychological things, and we don't disconnect the food from the emotion, then you know, we'll continue to eat those foods and just feel completely out of control. Okay, so going into the holidays, that is a huge skill that you need to learn, and it's one of the first skills that I teach in my program. So if you want to learn more about this tool and how to do this, comment yes please in the comments below, and I'll shoot you over some information on that. Okay, so back to the holidays. All right, so if while you're eating all of these delicious foods in balance, the third thing that you want to do is to really tune in to the flavors of the food. And, you know, so how often do you sit down for a family meal and you just immediately start talking to somebody? Or, you know, are you actually paying attention to the food when you do that? Or are you just kind of mindlessly shoveling the food into your mouth? Okay, so when you start paying attention, you know, that's when you kind of stop overeating, because when you're not paying attention, you're just mindlessly eating, that's when you eat too much. And that's when you get to the point of kind of being sick and uncomfortable. Okay, so to avoid that, really start paying attention to your food. So savor the flavors, okay? Like walk down the table before you even start putting food on your plate. Walk down the table, look at your options, look at all the different foods. You know, lean down and smell them, look at the colors, really appreciate it. And then once you have your plate, you know, and you're really hungry, those first few bites of whatever you take a bite of, bam, flavor explosion. It's going to taste so good, okay, because you're hungry. Your body wants food. And so when that food hits your tongue, it's just going to be like kapow, okay, and it's just going to taste so good. But if you pay attention, as you kind of keep eating and as your body actually starts getting full, you'll notice this really cool thing, is that the food will actually start kind of losing that intense flavor. You won't be getting that flavor explosion anymore. That you're basically your oh my gosh, sorry, I just got distracted. Sorry, your taste buds will actually start dulling a little bit, and guess what that means? So when those taste buds start dulling and the flavor is less as intense as it was in the beginning, that's actually your body telling you we're getting full. We don't need very much more, okay? But when you're not paying attention, you can miss that, all right? So, you know, that's one of those super cool ways that your body actually communicates with you. And there's tons of these little cues, okay? And so that's another thing that I teach in coaching, is teaching you to kind of decode all of this and, you know, start listening to your body, okay? So, So what do you do with this? What do you do with all this? So make sure this holiday, make sure you eat the foods that you want the most first. And I know that goes against everything that Mom and Grandma said about eat your vegetables first. No. Go for the thing that you have been craving the most. Go for that thing that you want that flavor explosion the most, okay? So, get that experience that you've been dreaming of. So for me, it's stuffing and cream cheese potatoes with gravy. Those are the things that I just absolutely love. I want to eat those first while I'm hungry. And, I'm going to tell you a little secret. At Thanksgiving, I don't even put salad on my plate. I completely skip it because I can have salad anytime I want. But those cream cheese potatoes only come but once a year. So I'm just going to enjoy the heck out of them, and I'm going to savor those puppies. And I'm going to eat those first because I want that flavor explosion. And then, start then working your way down the list on your plate of like, okay, what's the next thing I want to eat the most? What's the next thing? And so what this does is then by the time that flavor kind of starts dulling and your body is getting to the point where it's like, okay, I don't need as much food anymore. We're getting full. Now what's left on my plate is relatively low priority. It's not those foods that I've been dreaming about for weeks. So it's much easier to put those in a Tupperware and, eat those later when I'm actually hungry again. But if I went for salad first because I'm trying to be good and, go for the turkey because that's protein, and I'm saving the potatoes and the stuffing for last, it doesn't matter if I'm already full or not. I want that stuffing and those potatoes. So it doesn't matter if I'm already trying to loosen my pants up, I'm going to eat them anyway. And that's how you get overeating. So eat the stuff you want the most first and work your way down the list so that it's easier to kind of walk away once you get kind of full. So this tool, like these tricks, this is how my clients and I are able to eat whatever we want without restriction or deprivation. So now it's important to note that when that flavor starts dulling, changes all the time. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you that it happens after 5 bites or after 12 bites or after 20 bites, okay, because it totally depends. It depends on, if I've worked out that day or not. It depends on how much water I drank. It depends on what I ate the day before, earlier in the day. It depends on if I'm on my period. Like all these different things can influence like how your body, how much food your body needs and how much it wants. So you really have to kind of learn to pay attention to all of this stuff. So, but I've gotten really, really good at listening to my body and being able to read all those little cues. So doing this is pretty effortless for me now. So now doing all of this and paying attention to the dulling and all of that can be a little bit tricky to do your first few times, with a lot of people around in a social situation at a dinner party. So I invite you to try, having a meal by yourself, in the next couple days. Sit down just alone and play with this and see if you can feel that and play around with those levels for yourself and just kind of start noticing it. And because when you start getting it, it's so cool. It's so fun because that's what gives you the confidence to know that you can eat fearlessly. You can eat anything you want and you'll be able to stop. That you won't overeat, that you can listen to your body, that you'll know when enough is enough, and that you can eat more later when you're actually hungry. It gives you that confidence, and that confidence is such a good feeling. And that confidence is really all that I want to give you guys this holiday. So that is my wish to you. So, go home, implement these, play around with these. In the coming weeks, the coming days, and remember to go ahead and save this video. I hope this helps. So go ahead and save it so you can reference back to it at some point. And remember, if you want more information on these tools, on these skills, how to implement them, how to use them, type yes please below and I'll shoot some information over to you. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday, a great Thanksgiving, and I love you. Bye. Hi ladies, good afternoon. How are you guys doing? So today I wanted to talk about Weight Watchers. because there are so many women on this page, in my program, and in my private group who have been telling me that they've tried Weight Watchers, they've been on Weight Watchers. And, you know, me too. Back when I was struggling with food, I did my first round of Weight Watchers when I was 12. And I did 3 rounds of Weight Watchers, and I always gained the weight back. And, you know, I know that Weight Watchers is like pretty much the biggest diet in the world. And if you're on Weight Watchers, I just want to say right now, like, I don't necessarily have anything against Weight Watchers. There's a lot that they do that I actually like, and I think that they're doing really well. But, you know, if it was the end all be all, if it was the best diet in the world, if it was the thing that, you know, just fixed so many problems, then why do so many women have to keep doing it? If it's the solution, then why are you here? Why are you watching this video? If it has been that thing that saved you from all your weight and eating issues, you probably wouldn't be here watching this video, would you? And I was in the same boat. I thought, okay, this is the biggest diet in the world. They know what they're doing. There's thousands and thousands, probably millions of members doing it. I thought for sure Weight Watchers was going to be the thing that was going to solve all my problems. But I kept gaining the weight back. And then eventually, you know, going back was so embarrassing. Having to go back, you know, you reached your goal weight the last time, and then you come back into that meeting, you know, you gained 30 of it back, 40 of it back, and to get in that line waiting to step on the scale. Oh my God, I would just want to die. I would want to crawl in a hole and die in that moment, just so ashamed of myself that I was back in this place, that I was back in the line. And, you know, when you come in and they recognize you, you're just like, oh God, no, don't even look at me. And it's just, there's so much shame in coming back in. You're like, I'm back. Yep, put the weight back on. Hello again. That just wasn't a fun feeling, and I don't think anybody enjoys that. So what did I learn from that? And now that I am a mindful eating coach and a mindful eating expert and a nutritionist, like, looking back on my experience of Weight Watchers, why didn't it work? And I finally understand it. So why I think that Weight Watchers did not work for me, and that it has not been that solution, that final solution for so many women, is because even though there is quite a few things about Weight Watchers that they do well, it doesn't fix the root of the problem. It still does not fix the root of that problem, and it keeps us in a battle with food. So anytime you put a limit on yourself, so whether it's points or calories or whatever, so for Weight Watchers, let's go with points. So if saying you can have 14 points a day, 20 points a day, whatever you're at, and that you hook a value to food, that each food has a value, what that does is, even though Weight Watchers has the approach of like, you can eat whatever you want, no food is bad. If you want a burger, you can have a burger, but a burger is going to be like 10 points. What that does is that keeps us actually in an overeating state of mind. Okay, so even if you're not overeating, even if you're controlling yourself, your mind is still in overeating mode, which means that you are trying to figure out a way to get as much food as possible for as little consequence. So you're still thinking, how can I get more food? How can I, what's a low calorie snack I can have? How many points is this? If I eat this, can I have more later? So you're still, it doesn't fix that mindset. So you're still trying to figure out how to get as much food as possible for as little points. That's still overeating. That is still that overeating mindset. That is still that addiction to food. That is still that chasing, looking for food as a comfort, as and a coping mechanism. All that's different is you've just hooked a value to it, and you're trying to stop yourself before you get too high. And it doesn't do anything with emotional eating. So what if your emotional food of choice is a high point food, and you know you're on Weight Watchers, and you hit an emotional thing. Something happens in your life that upheaves you. And you go like, oh my God, I really want that. Let's just go with burger. I really want a burger. That's my comfort food. You can go like, no, it's too many points. I can't have it. And then, so it makes you start feeling bad for it. It makes you start feeling bad for wanting the foods you want. It puts you in a state of deprivation and telling you, I cannot have that food because it's too many points. So it's not actually teaching you how to eat these foods in moderation, in balance, healthily, not for emotional reasons. It's not doing any of that. It's not unhooking the emotional trigger from the food. It's just telling you, well, you can have that, but it's 7 points or it's 10 points. It's not getting to the root of that issue. And now one thing that I think they added is you can earn more points by being active. So what that does is now that hooks exercise to food and in turn to your emotions. So now you can go punish yourself at the gym in order to earn more food. So you can say, okay, I'm going to run on the treadmill even though I hate it. I'm going to put myself through an hour and a half of misery so that I can earn that food, so that I can earn that burger. That is not a healthy relationship. You should never, ever eat or go to the gym to earn food or to pay penance for something you ate. If you're in that dynamic and you are exercising in order to punish yourself or in order to earn, that is not a good situation to be in, ladies. That is not healthy. And that's just going to keep us in this mindset and in this situation where we feel like we have to punish ourselves to eat. Or we have to, reward ourselves for exercising with food. And so Weight Watchers doesn't do that. So even though I went on Weight Watchers 3 times and I was really good with my points, I was tracking my points. As soon as I got to my goal weight and I was able to go off Weight Watchers, yay, I did it, I reached my goal weight, I don't have to go to meetings anymore. The mindset didn't change. I was still trying to figure out how I could eat more. I was still trying to figure out how can I get as much food as possible for as little consequence. I was still looking to exercise to pay penance for things I ate. I was still viewing food as the enemy. I was still viewing food is the problem. It needs to be controlled. It needs to be managed. It needs to have points. I need to know a value system. So it was still me versus food. The battle was still raging. And as soon as I stopped going to meetings and as soon as I stopped tracking the points, I lost the accountability. And so then I started losing the battle again. Okay, and so then you gain the weight back, and then you go, how many of you who have been on Weight Watchers have fallen off, gained the weight back, and then you say, I got to get back to meetings. I need to start tracking my points again. That's basically saying, I need to start restricting myself again. Food is winning this battle. I'm losing. I have no control. I need the points. I need the meetings, or else, fuck, it's all lost. How many of you have done that? I did that so many times. And so that's the thing that Weight Watchers doesn't touch. It does not fix that relationship with food. Because guys, you are going to have a relationship with food the rest of your life, like it or not. You want to break up with food, you're going to die. Truth bomb. Okay? So wouldn't it be great to not be in a battle with something you need to live? And Weight Watchers does not end the battle. It does not teach you how to eat these foods in harmony without emotion. It doesn't teach you that. It just teaches you how to count the points, how to keep constantly measuring food. Oh, if I take the dressing off here, that's 2 points down. And if I have the bread, that's like 3 points, but without the butter, fuck that. It is so much energy. It takes so much energy to carry those trackers around, track every single thing you eat. Think about if I take the butter off, that's 2 points off. And, if I exercise, that's another 5. Okay, so can I have the pasta? I can have half the pasta, but, no. I would much rather be using my energy for something else, to do a project at home, to sit and have a conversation with my friends, or deepen my intimacy with my partner. That's where I want my mental energy going. I don't want my mental energy going to wondering how many points it's going to be without butter. That's fucking crazy to me. And I think that is an inherent thing that we just as humans, we rebel against that. Every time that we get in a situation where our energy is being sucked, where we're not living our life, where we're being obsessed over this thing that isn't really healthy, that we feel confined, we're going to rebel. I mean, God, there were so many times where even on Weight Watchers, I rebelled. I would go eat the cupcake. I'd go have the burger anyway and just not track it. Ooh. I would just not write it down. I'd be like, okay, if I didn't write it down on the sheet, I didn't eat it. No one has to know. So even when I was on Weight Watchers, I was still breaking the rules and I was still rebelling and it still wasn't working. So that's pretty much the point that I want to make. I'm going to wrap this video up, is that I know that Weight Watchers is like the biggest diet in the world. And I know that a lot of women see success with it. But the question that I want to pose to you is, if you have to keep doing it over and over and over again, is it really working? Or is it just a Band-Aid? Is it just a way that you're coping with all these other issues? The fact, and that the way that you're coping with the fact that you do not have a healthy relationship with food. And I'm just going to tell you right here, right now, if that's the situation, if you just don't have a healthy relationship with food and you abuse yourself with food, tracking it, putting values on your food and tracking it, not going to fix the problem. I guarantee you. So so you can choose. It is always a choice. You can choose to keep doing Weight Watchers if that's where your comfort zone is, and if it works for you. If it works for you, you know, everything that I teach is all about do what works for you. Listen to your body. Be in harmony with your body. So if you really feel like Weight Watchers works for you, then by all means. But I know that there's a lot of women out there that have to do it over and over and over again, and those are the women that I'm speaking to right now. If it is not working for you, if it is not that permanent solution that you hoped it would be, that you want it to be, it is because it is not getting to the root of the issue. You are not learning how to disconnect the emotions from the food. And there's no amount of tracking and no amount of points and no amount of earning more food with some exercise that is going to fix that. All right, so with that, I love you guys so, so, so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Hello, ladies. How are you guys? Okay, so I got a question for you. So who here is, feeling really, really frustrated because they're like, I know what I need to be doing to lose weight. I'm just not doing it. And they're getting really frustrated with themselves and, kind of starting to beat themselves up and wonder, like, why am I not doing this? I know what I should be doing. Why is it not happening? Okay, if that's you, if that sounds like you, I want to know. Comment below, say like, yes, that's totally me. I feel like I'm stuck there. It feels like you're just stuck in this cycle, right? Okay, so I have got a really good story. I'm going to tell on myself big time here. Big time. I actually don't know if I've even told this story before. It's a good one. It's a really good one. So for those of you, who are new, who, haven't, watched a video of me before, I'm Dawn Michaela, and I'm a master mindful eating coach, and I'm the founder of the Mindful Eating Revolution and the Take Your Life Back 16-week Mindful Eating Mastermind, which is an awesome, group program, 16 weeks where, I take women through completely healing their relationship with food. So if you're like done dieting, you're done with all these crazy meal plans and restrictions and calories, and you're just like, I just want the results and I don't want to have to keep doing this. I just want to find my peace with food. I don't want to do this battle anymore. I want to lose the weight. I want to keep it off. I want to feel confident, and I don't want to do this battle with food anymore. That's who I do my program with, and that's where we get you to, okay? We get you those results. An awesome program. I'll put the link to more information later. But anyway, to the story. Okay, so if you guys have been feeling like, I know what I need to be doing to lose the weight, I'm just not doing it, all right? Is that you? I see that there's 4 ladies on here. If that's resonating and you're just like, yes, that's me, tell me how to fix it, you're in luck, all right? I've got a really good story. All right, so this story, I think we all tell ourselves this a lot. I told myself this for a really long time, okay, for about 12 years. When I was struggling with food, I kept telling myself that I knew what to do to get out of this, but I would just beat myself up when I wouldn't do it. And I kept blaming myself because I was just like, you know what to do, you're just lazy and you're addicted to food and you just like the bread too much and you're weak and you're lazy, and so that's why you're not doing it. That's the story I kept telling myself over and over again. And so I kept myself in this, you know, place of struggling for so long, way longer than I needed to, because I had convinced myself that I knew how to get myself out of this. Okay. And this like popped up in so many ways in my life. But one of the biggest one of my favorite stories about this is I was like 16 or 17. And, you know, I would always steal my sister's Cosmos. My sister used to read Cosmopolitan magazine. And, you know, I would always steal them out of her bedroom. I'm not sure she knows that. If she's watching, I'm sorry. But yeah, I used to steal those out of her bedroom all the time. And I would flip through, you know, flip through all the magazines. And that's where I learned about Hydroxycut. Do you guys remember Hydroxycut? That was like in every magazine, like Hydroxycut with like all those girls, like with their, you know, their results pictures and their bikinis. And I was convinced that that was my way out. If I could just get my bottle on a get my hands on a bottle of Hydroxycut, all my problems would be over. Okay. So, but I was 16, 17, didn't have a whole lot of money. So I actually like went into my mom's wallet and stole money from my mom. Again, I don't think she knows this story either. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, I stole money out of my mom's wallet to go get Hydroxycut. And so I did. I got my hands on a bottle of it, and I was like convinced I had found this is the thing, this is that magic pill that's gonna take away all my problems. But then like I started taking them, and then this whole new fear set in of like, I'm gonna run out of pills before, you know, in like a month, and I'm gonna have to like steal more money. I'm gonna have to figure out another way to get another bottle. So I thought like, well, if I just space it out and I only take a pill like every other day or something like that, it'll make it last longer. But I wasn't changing my eating. I wasn't changing the way I was thinking. I wasn't changing any of my habits. I was just convinced that this pill would do it. And so guess what? I didn't get the results. Did not get the results. And instead of, you know, admitting to myself the truth of like, that was a really bad idea. These pills, I don't know what's in them. I probably shouldn't be taking them. Instead of that, I told myself, no, the pills do work. I just did it wrong. I need to be taking them like every day. I wasn't consistent. Okay. So guess what? I talked myself into going and stealing more money from my mom and went and got another bottle. Same thing. I probably bought and came across money in a not super honest way multiple times, probably like 4 or 5 bottles worth. And, you know, so I wanted to tell this story because it's like, I wanted to ask you guys, like, what kinds of things have you talked yourself into doing in the name of weight loss? What crazy shit have you rationalized in the name of weight loss? I did a diet once that I didn't eat anything but cranberries and almonds for 2 weeks. Convinced that if I could, you know, only eat cranberries and almonds for like 2-3 months, I'd lose the weight and it would all be fine. Okay, and then the starvation kicked in, and the hunger, and the cravings, and just like all I could think about was food. And I caved, I fell off the wagon, but I told myself it was my fault. It wasn't the diet that was wrong. It wasn't the fact that I was only wanting to eat fucking cranberries and almonds for 2 weeks. That could not have been the problem. No, that was tried and true. That was tried and true. I was the problem. I just didn't stick to it. Okay? So I'm going to ask you again, how many times have you done some crazy ass diet, taken pills, done some ridiculous, meal plan that is just super, super strict, signed up at the gym for like this boot camp that's probably going to make you feel like you're going to vomit. How many times have you done that? And then, you're miserable while you're doing it. You're starving. You're putting God knows what in your body. But then you blame yourself for it not working. And tell yourself, well, if I just double down and do it again and just do it right, that it'll all work out. Okay? So this belief that we keep telling ourselves of, I know what I should be doing, I'm just not doing it, is just a story. It's just a story. Okay? And it's actually not even correct. It's It's not even correct. It's a big crock of crap. All right, I'm just going to call it out. So, you know, I know you might think that you know what to do to get a hold of this and to overcome this, but here's what I want to ask you. What do you think you know? Okay? Because, you know, what society's taught you, what your friends have told you, what your family has told you, what, you know, the media has told you is that weight loss is done through calorie restriction, through diets, through increased exercise, through cutting out carbs, through cutting out sugar, through all of this stuff. Okay, so you believe, probably, you have this belief that if you can just do those and stick to it, that everything's going to be fine. So that if you can just keep your motivation up, keep restricting yourself, keep pushing yourself super hard at the gym, keep on plan, keep tracking your points, keep tracking your calories. If you can just do that for the rest of your life, do you really want to be doing that for the rest of your life? Is that really like the dream? So we've told ourselves that if we can just keep doing that, that everything's going to be fine. But what if I told you that this has nothing to do with the food? That calories, it's not an issue of calories. It is not an issue of carbs. It is not an issue of points. It is not an issue of calories burned at the gym. This whole issue with weight and with food addiction and emotional eating, that all of this is a psychological and emotional enmeshment with food. Unhealthy patterns that have just been done over and over and over again to where you don't have any other coping skills, you don't know any other way out, that food has become your everything, your center, your joy, your peace, your escape, your excuse for not wanting to deal with your life, that just everything's out of balance and you are not happy. You do not think you are valuable, you don't think that you have worth, and you don't like what you see in the mirror. If that's the problem, do you know how to fix that? That's the question. Do you know how to get yourself out of that? For most people, the answer is no. I didn't know how to do it. And in fact, like even when, let's see, Renee's popping on. Hi, Renee. How you doing, babe? Oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought. Ah! Oh yeah, but you know, so that story, telling ourselves that we have this figured out, I got this, I know what to do, I know what to do, is keeping you stuck. Because you've convinced yourself that you have the tools to get out of this. When in fact, all the tools that you're using is actually just making it worse. And that's why it's not working. Because the tools you're using, the restricting the carbs, the calories, blah, 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 is just actually making the cycle worse. So you're just keeping yourself stuck. And then you're wondering, why am I still stuck? Because you don't have the tools. Okay, and like, I was telling myself this story, the whole like, I've got this shit figured out. I don't need help. I don't need anybody. I know what to do. I was telling this story to the bitter end, guys. Bitter end. Even after, you know, I convinced myself. Here's another story for you. So, I felt so out of control with food. I reached a certain point, I think I was like, I don't know, 19 or so. Yeah, so I was 19-ish, and I felt so out of control with food, guys. So out of control. It was insane. Freaking insane. And so, because I was still holding on to that belief of I know what to do, guess what my solution to the problem was? I'm gonna become anorexic. I made the conscious decision to become anorexic because I thought, I know best. I know what to do to get myself out of this. So I consciously become anorexic. And, you know, I start withering away, telling myself, I got this, I got this, I got this. I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm doing this right. As my hair's falling out, as my skin is losing its luster, as I'm starting to look emaciated, and like people are starting to go like, what is wrong with you? Like, you do not look healthy. You do not look good. I'm still telling myself, I got this. I got this. I know what I'm doing. I was so lost, guys. I was so lost. I was so unhappy. You know, honestly, now that I'm kind of thinking about it right now, it's like I was so scared. And the reason why I was telling myself that story of I got this, I know what to do, I know how to get myself out of this, was because the reality of admitting that I have no clue and then I'm lost and then I needed help was way scarier. I didn't want to admit that I'd gotten myself so deep into a situation that I couldn't turn it around. That was really scary. So I just kept telling myself, I just doubled down and just kept telling myself, no, I got this, I got this, I got this. It was a pride thing. It was an ego thing. I didn't want to be a fuck up. I didn't want to be, I was looking at all those magazines, all those hydroxycut things, and like everybody else was getting the results. I didn't want to be the one person who couldn't do it on my own, who the pills didn't work for, who that diet didn't work for. It was just shame. Shame that I couldn't fix it on my own kept me doubling down and telling myself, I got this, I got this, I got this. So this belief, this story that we keep telling ourselves is actually doing a lot of damage. And it's going to keep you stuck way longer than if you just admitted, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. And I do need some help because obviously what I am doing is not working. That can be really scary to admit. Okay. And I mean, I'll tell you, I was so scared to do that. I fought to the bitter end. So back to the anorexia story. So, I became anorexic and ended up collapsing on the stairs, woke up in the hospital, IV in my arm, finally called my mom, told her I need help. She came down, found me a nutritionist. Thank God that nutritionist was a mindful eating coach. And she called me out super hard. And basically told me, you don't know what you're doing. And you telling yourself you know what you're doing is just making this worse. And I fought her. I was like, nope, I don't buy that because I've already picked out my next diet and I've already done the research. I know exactly what to do. I've already made my shopping list. I already have my plan. I'm going to do this, and this. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then Saturday is going to be this. I made this rigid plan. And I was sitting there telling her all these excuses, why I didn't need help, why I got this down. I've got this diet. I'll just go get another round of pills. New pills this time, not hydroxycut, because, this new pill is going to be better. I just signed up at this new gym. They've got this class that I'm really excited about. I think that's going to be it. I fought so hard to not admit that I didn't have a fucking clue. But here's the beauty of it. I finally got the message. I finally let it in of that, wow, I don't know how to get out of this. And I finally started realizing, I want to be happy and free more than I want to be right. That was a big turning point for me. So I kind of want to ask you guys, see, there's a couple of you guys watching. I want to ask you guys, which do you want more? Do you want to be happy and free and confident and put all this behind you? Or do you want to be right? Which one's more important? Comment below. Okay. Because I think this is a really important conversation to have. Because you can kind of get lost in this echo chamber of, all your friends, your family, all these people telling you what to do. Like, oh, I'm on this diet. You should come do this diet with me. Oh, this one. Oh, have you taken this pill? Have you done this? And we can get super confused because we're just listening to all these people. And it's keeping us in this mindset of, no, dieting and pills and all of this is the way because this is apparently what everybody's doing. And so we listen to it. And we convince ourselves that it's right. But here's the thing. Have any of those people gotten the results you wanted and kept them? Are they happy? Have they lost the weight and kept it off? Have they actually found the way out? If they haven't, if your girlfriend who you always do a diet with, if she's also going back to Weight Watchers for the third or fourth time, getting on the new diet fad thing, buying the new pill, guess what? She does not have it figured out either. Okay? So if you really want to get out of this, you've got to stop telling yourself that story and stop listening to other people who are telling you that that's right. It's keeping you in that echo chamber. Okay? You got to start aligning yourself with people who actually know how to get out of this. Okay, so I've helped a lot of women out, dozens and dozens and dozens of women out of this. I've gotten out of this with the same program that I teach. Saved my life. I lost 80 pounds and I've kept it off for 11 years. Have not dieted, have not spent a dime on diet pills, haven't done a meal plan, haven't been to a gym in 4 years. I'm still rocking a size 6. Confident, love my body, feel sexy as hell, loving my life. Don't even worry about food. Food isn't even a stressor in my life. Is that the dream? Isn't that the dream? Isn't that what you guys are wanting? Isn't that the goal? So start aligning yourself with people who can help you get there instead of just keeping you stuck in this story of that you know what to do, you're just not doing it. Because that's just creating a cycle of blame and guilt and feeling like a failure, and that is not that's not helping. Okay, so what we do in coaching is help you start unraveling all those stories, pulling back those stories, unwriting those stories and writing new ones, getting you the help and the support you need. Teaching you the actual tools and tricks and tips and little hacks to help you overcome all of this. Not just little fix-it band-aids, not just eat this instead of this, not like deep healing. Deep healing of your relationship with food, your emotional enmeshment with food, your psychological enmeshment with food, all these stories, these limiting beliefs that are keeping you trapped. We rip all those up, bash through those glass ceilings, and get you living the life you want without the stress of food, without dieting, without any of that. It's like freedom. We're giving you freedom from all the struggle, from all the pain. That story that you've been telling yourself of that you got this and that you know what to do has been keeping you trapped in. Okay, so I hope that clears up, for those of you who have been feeling like, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of relief and like, it's okay that you haven't had it figured out. You haven't been given the tools, you haven't been given the knowledge, you haven't been given the support you need and the right advice to actually get out of this. Because this isn't an issue of food, guys. This has nothing to do with the food. This is an emotional and psychological problem. This is not an issue with food. Okay, hold on a second. Renee is saying, what about being hungry all the time? It's very distracting. Okay, so Renee, couple things with that. So I'd need to know a little bit more about like what's going on during the day. But if you're hungry all the time, hunger is your body telling you it needs fuel. So I would be willing to bet that you're probably in restrictive mode and restricting your calories. You're probably, I'm gonna guess you're on some kind of, diet or watching your calorie intake or some kind of, no carbs, no sugar. I'm just gonna guess that there's some kind of restrictive thinking going on around food. And you're probably afraid of hunger and you're probably afraid of food because you've probably linked that food and hunger equals fat. It's pretty much a very, very common story. So you're probably afraid of it. And you're not honoring it and you're not respecting it and you're not listening to your body. You're probably not giving your body the nutrients that it needs. You're probably listening to the diet and the rules and all the things that you should and shouldn't be avoiding and not your body. Your body might be needing something completely different than what you're doing on the diet. So the hunger is your body telling you, yo, we need some nutrients up in here that you're not giving us. So the workaround for that is not any kind of diet trick, is not any kind of like, well, drink water or eat more fiber. No. It's stop listening to the diet bullshit and the rules and the telling you what you can and cannot have, and that is leading you to be afraid of food and afraid of hunger to where you feel like you have to shut down your hunger and ignore it so that it's now becoming a distraction. That is not a healthy way to go about this. That is not what needs to happen. You need to reintegrate with your body and start listening to your body and being able to tell, deciphering, be able to tell what your body needs. Because your body's telling you all the time what it needs. It's telling you, I need carbs, I need protein, I need fat, I need less carbs, I need less protein. It's talking to you all the time. You just don't know the language. So because you don't know the language and you and your body aren't talking, you're relying on diets and rules to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. But those rules aren't working for you. They're causing more fear. They're causing more, disconnection from your body, which is leading you to feel hungry all the time and is causing you to be distracted and not happy. Okay, so again, not an issue of the food. This is not a food issue. This is a fact that you and your body are not talking. You're not honoring it. You're not respecting it. And you're believing all this diet crap that's being shoved down your throat. That's the problem. Hope that answers your question, Renee. Teresa is saying, what's the plan? Where do I start? So I'll put the link. I'll drop the link to, if you want to learn a little bit more about the program, if you want to learn more about coaching, about working with me. As soon as we're off, Teresa, I'll drop the link below so you can kind of read a little bit more about what we do. And then if you want to talk about it more, schedule a breakthrough call. You schedule a breakthrough call with me, and it's a 45-minute call, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit more and start kind of diving into what's going on for you. Okay, it's a free call, but you will kind of start diving into your situation and what's going on for you, and help you start breaking some of those limiting beliefs, start changing some of those stories, and start giving you some support and create that plan. You're saying, what's the plan? Where do I start? We'll kind of weave out a game plan for you and talk about how we can get you started doing that. Hope that answers your question. So I'll put that in the link below. Renee, you're absolutely right. I know I am. I've been doing this a long time. I'm very, very good at what I do. Like I said, align yourself with the people who have the results you want. All right? So like I'm saying, I'm not some magical unicorn who was just now living this life. No, I struggled with food for 12 years. I hated my body. I was ashamed. I struggled with food. I did all the mistakes. I took diet pills. I did it all. I abused my body with food for a really, really long time. So I know exactly what you guys are going through. I've been there. Only difference is I found the way out. About 11 years ago, I found the way out, and it frickin' blew my mind. Blew my socks right off. Changed my life forever. It's the best decision I ever made. Best decision I ever made. Highlight, underline. Best decision I ever made was to get the help to get over this, and to overcome this. And then because it blew my mind, blew my socks right off, I was like, holy shit, every woman needs this. So I went and got trained, went back to school, became a master mindful eating coach, and decided to come back, build my own program to help other people out of this, because I think every woman, especially women, every woman needs to do this, because the diet industry, all the crap that you've been told has just twisted you up into knots, and you don't even know right from left, up and down. You're so confused, so many mixed messages, you don't know what's going on. And so a big part of the program is undoing all of that, unlearning all the bullshit that the diet industry has just shoved down your throat, and teaching you how to kind of reintegrate with your body. That's the problem. This has nothing to do with food. Okay, I'm very, very good at what I do. Okay, so if you're to that point where you're like, okay, I'm ready to do this, I don't want to battle with food anymore, I don't want to keep stuck in this cycle, I don't want to keep blaming myself, I don't want to keep feeling like a failure, I don't want to keep losing the weight to only gain it back, I don't want to go on another diet, I don't want to have to look for another pill, I don't want to do this anymore. If you're to that point and you're just done, you're done, and you're ready for that freedom, you're ready for the results, you're ready to lose the weight and keep it off, you're ready to have that peace with food, you're ready to not have to diet ever again. If you're ready for that, I'm going to put the link to working with me and learning a bit more about my program below. Okay. Hi, Abby. How you doing, baby? Anyway, so that's where I'm going to wrap up today. I hope that helped. It's always so crazy. I get on here to talk to you guys thinking this is going to be a 5-minute video. Turns into freaking 15 minutes. It's okay. I love you guys. I love talking to you guys. So that's where I'm going to wrap up. I'll drop the link below. Love you guys. Bye. Hello everybody. How you guys doing? Dawn Michaela here from the Mindful Eating Revolution, and I'm coming to you live from the fabulous Falafel Shack. So seriously, this place makes the best freaking falafel. Check this out. It just got brought to my table. Oh, so good. Do you guys ever have those days where so first of all, it's an absolutely beautiful day here today. But do you guys ever get those days where it's just like there's only one food you want and only one food will do? Today it was falafel. So I'm getting falafel with extra sauce. So I'm not going to be rude and sit here and eat on camera, so I'll just let this falafel like stare at me for the next couple of minutes, because there's something I really, really want to talk to you guys about that is, you know, yes, more important than falafel. And that's like this belief of that I'll be happy once I lose the weight. Okay, now I asked this question in my group the other day, yesterday. If you're not in my group yet, go ahead and join. There's click on my name, Don Michaela, like right here, and then go to my actual page, and there's a button right up here to come join the group. So if you want to like see more videos like this and have more conversations and get even more clarity on how to break the cycle of dieting and overcome food addiction and emotional eating, come join the group. Seriously, it's an awesome group full of a lot of amazing women who are on the same journey. So I really invite you to come join us in there. Anyway, yeah, so I asked the question yesterday in my group of like, if you had to choose between being skinny or being happy, which would you choose? And there was a variety of answers, okay? And so I really want to speak to, you know, the women who really believe, hi, I just saw somebody get on, so when you guys get on live, go ahead and say hi, so I can say hi to you live, give you some shout outs, give you some love. Okay, so if you're watching replay of this, also comment below #replay, and I'll still come in and let you some love. Okay, so yeah, back to the group. So yeah, I asked this question. There was a whole bunch of different variety of answers, but what I want to speak to is, you know, this belief of, you know, yeah, I want to be like happy and healthy, and I'll be happier once I lose the weight, or, you know, I'll be happy once I lose the weight. And I totally understand that, okay? I totally understand that. I used to feel that way too. I used to believe that hook, line, and sinker. I was so addicted to food. My weight was, you know, skyrocketing. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. And I was just so unhappy and so depressed. And, you know, I really did believe that, like, God, if I just was thin, I wouldn't feel like this. Life wouldn't be this hard, right? I really, really believed it. I was looking at all the pictures of women in the magazines, looking at, you know, all these testimonials of other diets of women standing there in their bikini, like, I lost 40 pounds on Hydroxycut, and was just like, oh my God, that's my answer. If I can just drop this weight, look how happy she looks in that ad. Oh my God, Hydroxycut worked. It made her so happy. That I really believed that if I lost the weight, everything would be better. Okay. So if you're just joining us live, we're talking about this belief of, you know, I'll be happy once I lose the weight. And if you guys are just joining us live, go ahead and comment below, say hi, so I can say hello to you who's watching. So, yeah, so I totally understand where that belief and that thing comes from, because I lived in there for a really long time. But here's the thing too. I also lost the weight multiple times. I think we've all done that. I think I've probably lost my body weight probably 3 or 4 times by this point. So, but I did drop the weight at one point, like completely. I had like ripped abs, guys, like freaking 6-packs, guns, like wearing a size 4, looked amazing. And guess what? I was miserable as fuck. I was so unhappy because I was still critical of myself. I hadn't changed any of my mindset. So even though I could see abs, I still saw a little roll over here. And, you know, I still thought I was fat. I still hated, you know, being in my underwear in front of my boyfriend. Because I thought, oh my God, I still have a little pooch. I was still weighing myself every single day, because even though I lost the weight, it had become all about maintenance. Maintain. I still can't have that cookie. I still can't have that. I still can't have that. I still can't have that. Still restricting. Because now I was all about, okay, well now I have it, I can't let it go. And so I was still in that cage, that like mentality cage that, you know, dieting puts us in. And so that is why I really want to talk about this today, because, you know, the thinking of that weight loss comes first, happiness comes second, is a total illusion. And the longer you believe that, the longer you're going to stay exactly where you are, struggling in the pain, in the struggle, struggling with food, struggling with your image, and not being able to lose the weight. Okay, you have to flip it. The happiness has to come first. You have to come first. loving and respecting yourself has to come first. I say it all the time to my clients. You cannot hate yourself healthy. It does not work. Trust me, I hated myself down to an itty bitty thing, and guess what? I still hated myself. I tried to deprive and shame and hate myself into a little size 4. Well, I got to the size 4, but I was deprived and ashamed and still hated myself. Okay? So the method, the mindset that gets you the result is what's gonna stay. Okay? So if you really want happiness and weight loss and to end that battle with food, it all starts up here. It all starts up here with changing how you see yourself. Okay? Because the logic behind this is, and the reason why this is so powerful, is when you really love something, when you respect something, when you honor something, you don't abuse it. You cherish it. So I want to ask you right now, are you loving and respecting and honoring yourself? Do you cherish yourself? Do you treat yourself like the most precious thing in the world? Do you guard yourself to protect yourself? Do you set boundaries? Okay, if not, that's why you're struggling. It is really easy to abuse something that we don't respect, that we don't love, that we hate the sight of. If you're getting on the scale every morning and saying like, I mean, sorry for the language, this is what I used to say to myself, of like, you fucking fat piece of shit. Hate. I hated myself. I literally wanted to rip myself out of my body. I hated myself so much. So, you know, when you start your day like that, of like getting on the scale, assessing the damage, oh my God, look what a fat cow I am this morning. Oh my God, look at these rolls. Look at this jiggle. Oh my God, look at that hot girl in the magazine. God, if I could just look like that. Ugh. I hate being in my body. You start your day like that, if that's your thinking, and you're thinking like, man, if I could just be that skinny girl, if I could just lose the weight, then I'll be happy. Do you start to see where these aren't matching up? These don't match. Okay? So when you're in that mindset of, you know, telling yourself how horrible you are, how much you hate yourself, how much you're not good enough, how you're not as good as that girl in the magazine, how, you know, you hate the number on the scale, it's really easy. Okay, Lisa is saying every day I say it. Exactly, Lisa. Okay, so Lisa, I'm going to ask you a question here. So every day that you say that, how does that make you feel? To wake up every morning telling yourself how ugly you are, how ashamed of yourself you are, how little control you have, wondering, why can't you just fucking get your shit in order? What's wrong with you? How does that make you feel? Okay? Because how we feel, that determines sad. Lisa's saying sad. It is sad. I totally feel you, girl. I did that to myself for a really long time. Okay, so, yeah, so telling yourself you're fat. Yeah, Lisa, telling yourself I'm fat. Okay, so just to kind of switch gears here, what do you think is happening on a mindset level when you're telling yourself that every day? I'm fat, 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 I'm fat. You're just affirming that to be true, right? You're choosing. That is what I'm going to believe about myself. If that is what you are choosing to believe, well, then no wonder you're not happy. It's really not a mystery. Okay, and if you're telling yourself over and over and over again, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, well then that's why you're not losing the weight. Because that's what you believe. You have identified that I am fat. This is who I am. Okay? So that has to change first. Okay, that has to change. So, you know, back to what I was saying before of, you know, so if you're waking up every day, you know, like Lisa said, of saying it every day, I'm fat, you know, I have no control, that's going to make you feel pretty shitty. Okay? And then when you're feeling crappy and you're also an emotional eater, see where I'm going with this? Your emotions are bad, you're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, blah, 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 blah. I hate being in my body, I hate my life. Okay, I don't even want to look at this, I don't even want to feel it, I'm going to numb it. Where's the chips? Okay? So when you're telling yourself all these bad things about yourself, it is really easy to abuse yourself with food because you're not respecting yourself. You're not happy. You don't love yourself. Your body is just this fat thing covered in cellulite that you would really love to get rid of. So who fucking cares if I go eat $20 of Taco Bell? Who cares? You're obviously not caring about yourself very much if you're telling yourself that every day. Okay? So that's why I'm saying this whole notion of like, I'll be happy once I lose the weight is a total illusion that you've got to stop telling yourself if you're serious about reaching your goals. Okay? If you really want to be happy, if you really want to drop the weight, that mentality, that story you're telling yourself, it's got to go. Has got to go. Okay, so Lisa is saying, I lost 100 pounds back in 1999 and then my husband died from cancer and I gained it back. Exactly. Okay? So if you don't shift up here, you're gonna lose and gain back. Lose and gain back. This is the cycle that so many people get stuck in. Is you can like, okay, I'm gonna do the diet, I'm gonna drop. But if the mentality doesn't change, the weight's gonna come back. Every single time, I guarantee. The mindset has to change. How you're thinking about yourself has to change. Your relationship to yourself has to change. Your relationship to the food has to change. If you're an emotional eater, you've got to start cutting ties with those triggers to eat. And that's what we do in coaching. That's what I help my clients do. Is I help you change that mindset, change that story, and then go in and find all those triggers, you know, find all those emotional triggers that are triggering you to want to eat, and you cut the cord. Okay, this isn't always easy to do on your own, and that's why having a coach is like a freaking game changer in like really doing this. Okay, because you have to go deep. You have to do some stuff that you wouldn't know to do on your own. Okay, so that was really loud. Oh my god, guys, this falafel is literally like staring at me. For you guys who are just joining, I'm at my favorite lunch spot, like the little Greek shack, and today I was just freaking craving falafel, and so this falafel has just been staring at me while I'm talking to you guys. It looks so good. Can't wait to eat it. Anyway, so what I'm talking about is like, so when you shift the mindset, and if you start waking up every morning saying, oh my god, I love myself so much. If you choose to be happy, happiness is a choice. It is a choice. You get to choose. So if you wake up every morning saying, I love myself, I respect my body, I only put the best food in my body because I am a freaking rock star. Hi Jennifer, how you doing, babe? Jennifer's in the group. I absolutely adore Jennifer. How you doing, love? Okay, so if you're waking up, you know, every morning and telling yourself, I'm a freaking badass. I'm a goddess. I'm a queen. Yes, I rock my life. I'm a rock star. I love myself. I only put the best fuel in my body. I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. Yes, bring it on. I got this. When you starting your day like that, and you start loving yourself, respecting yourself, you start feeling differently. You start thinking differently. And when you start thinking and feeling differently, you start making different decisions. Okay? Because once you start loving yourself, you start respecting yourself, it's harder to abuse something that we love and respect. When we love and respect ourselves, it becomes a lot harder, really hard, next to impossible, to abuse yourself with food, to binge, to go, you know, eat an entire bag of potato chips, to turn to the Twinkies, to go buy that, you know, $20 worth of Taco Bell. It becomes really hard because you're just like, no. I love me. That doesn't make me feel good. It's not that the food is bad, that is bad. It's just that's not gonna make me feel good. And I deserve to feel good. I want to feel good because I love me. So when you shift that mindset and you choose happiness and you choose to start loving yourself, you start making different decisions. And when you start making different decisions and you start choosing different foods, the weight starts coming off. Because you're choosing to go move your body in a way that feels good. You're choosing to eat food that fuels you because you love yourself. And then the weight comes off naturally. And that's what we do in coaching and in mindful eating, is teaching you how to make that shift. how to reprogram that mindset, how to start thinking about food differently, how to completely, like, we strip down your entire relationship with food and build it back up into something vibrant and beautiful that is not abusive, and it's delicious, and you can eat whatever you want, whatever you truly want. And that's the good part. And you do it all from a place of love. Your life is going to become like a freaking magic carpet ride, guys. You're going to feel like you're living in a Disney movie. Of just like, you are so in love with yourself. You treat yourself with such love and respect. You wake up every morning telling yourself what a freaking rock star you are. You get to eat all this delicious food. Your body's feeling better. The weight's going down. That's what you want, right? That's the goal. Right? Right, Lisa's saying, I'm going to start saying that tomorrow in the morning. Yes, girl. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's the key. You have to love yourself first. The choosing of the happiness, the choosing of the love, choosing yourself has to come first. It's law. It has to. You cannot, at least in my opinion, if I'm wrong, correct me. I don't believe it's possible to be happy, truly happy, when you think you're worthless, when you feel like a failure, when you get on the scale every morning and just tell yourself, another day in this body. Lisa's saying, I think after his death I lost myself. Exactly. And I'm gonna guess that in the grief and in the trying to find yourself, food got wrapped up in that. Food became an integral part of coping with all of that. Coping with losing yourself. Okay, so what you need to do, Lisa, is you gotta go do some work, some deep work. You gotta find out who you are again, girl. You got to start cutting ties with all those triggers. And you've got to start remembering, who is Lisa? Who's that rock star? Who's that queen buried deep inside you that you forgot about? Bring her out. Start cherishing her. Start talking to her again. Start reconnecting with that. Telling her you love her. Start respecting her. And I guarantee you, your world's going to change. So, Lisa, I'm going to leave with this. You did not gain the weight back because you were a failure, or because you were not worthy, or because you fucked it up somehow. Do not blame yourself for this. Okay? You simply lost your way. You had a massive trauma that came and whacked you out of left field, dude. Anybody would be shaken by that. Anybody would have to find a way to cope with that. You turned to food. At least you found a way to cope, okay? So immediately just forgive yourself right now. Massive forgiveness, massive compassion towards yourself. And then realizing, like, okay, this happened because I completely lost touch with myself. I lost myself in the grief. I don't know who I am outside with my husband. Who am I alone? Who was I? But I don't know. Right? So that's where the eating comes in. Okay, so you're not addicted to food. It's not about the food. It's about you and the fact that you have lost yourself. You've lost that balance. You've lost your joy. You've lost your peace. You've lost your love for yourself. And you are eating to cope with that. So as long as you're looking to food for the solution and not going that other layer deeper, you're going to stay struggling. And you're going to keep believing that you're fat and keep telling yourself that. But if you go deeper and go, man, okay, this is all stemming from something deeper, and I actually need to go in and like really heal myself, rediscover myself, fall in love with myself again, find that balance, you're going to stop needing food. The cravings go away. That emotional attachment to food. And peace sets in. Okay? So Lisa, you deserve better. You deserve better from yourself. Stop ripping yourself down, dude. You deserve better than that. Okay, and it's time you start reminding yourself of that. Okay, so again, moral of today's video: happiness comes first. It does not go weight loss happiness. You got to choose you first. Then everything else happens. Okay, so decide you're worth it. Decide, yep, we're doing this. I'm worth it. Come join my group if you want to see more videos like this, if you want to have more discussions like this and be around a freaking incredible tribe of women. Come join my group. And if you're ready to do this, Lisa, if you want to really do this, consider doing coaching. Come work with me one-on-one. And we'll not only shift this whole mindset and rebuild your relationship with food, but just completely change your life. Because it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to apply it. Applying it can be a little bit hard to do on your own. So if you want to be like, yes, I'm ready to do this, consider asking for some help. I'll totally help you. I'll totally guide you through this process. So if that's something you're interested in, shoot me a message. And, we'll talk about doing that and getting you set up with that. Because you deserve this, Lisa, and every single one of you else watching. Whether it's on the replay or live, you guys all deserve better. You deserve to have falafel. You deserve to have falafel on a beautiful freaking spring day in front of everybody, feeling awesome in your body, loving yourself. You deserve it. All right? So give yourself that gift. Decide to choose you instead of the diets and instead of the restriction and the guilt and you know the drill. Stop choosing that. And you'll start being happier and the weight will come off, I promise. All right, with that, guys, I love you so much. I hope to see you guys in the group if you're not already in the group. And I'd love to talk to you guys if you guys are interested in actually doing this, really doing this. Let's hop on the phone. Let's talk about it. Let's get you some clarity. And let's get you rocking and rolling. All right, I love you guys so much. I'm finally gonna enjoy my falafel. Yay! All right, I love you guys so much. Bye. Hello, ladies. How are you guys doing today? Master Mindful Eating Coach Don Michaela here, and so I've been seeing a lot of incorrect information going around about what exactly is mindful eating, and in all these different groups that I'm a part of and that I run, I see a lot of confusion about, okay, what the heck is this mindful eating thing? What is it all about? And why is it the bee's knees best thing you could possibly do for yourself if you want to overcome dieting, kick it to the curb, overcome emotional eating, food addiction, and just really find that peace with food and, fall in love with yourself and just not have to think about food, right? That's the dream, right? So yeah, so I wanted to come in here and just address this head on, bust some myths, give you guys some answers, so that you can start really understanding why this is so fucking awesome and why you should absolutely be doing this for yourself. So the biggest thing that I hear about what is mindful eating, this is the biggest myth that I hear, is that it's just about slowing down, paying attention, and savoring the food. Okay, that is the biggest thing that I hear. They're saying, well, that's what mindful eating is. No, it's not. I would say that, those are all well and dandy. Those are great. And those are definitely tools we use. So I definitely, talk about that in my program, Take Your Life Back, which is a Mindful Eating Mastermind, 16 weeks to just completely implementing this, overcoming it, and getting on with your life so you don't struggle anymore. So we talk about this, but I tell my clients that part, this slowing down and savoring and all of that, is just 4% of the picture. Okay, those are really low-hanging tools that we use. Okay, but there's so much more to it. So the myth that's been going around about that is mindful eating, of just slowing down and savoring, is so incorrect. It's so much bigger than that. And so when you hear that and you believe it and you buy into that, you're missing so much of the picture. Okay, so what mindful eating really is about, what's at the heart of it, is getting to the root of why you've been eating in the first place. What has been driving all of this? Because I'd be willing to bet that you have done diet after diet after diet after diet after diet, and you keep self-sabotaging. You feel like you're just completely addicted, to food, and the cravings are just so powerful and you don't know what to do about it. Okay, that doesn't get fixed by just slowing down, guys. Just slowing down, savoring your food isn't even going to touch that. What you have to do is you have to go a lot deeper. You have to go into, okay, what's the psychology of this? Where's this emotional and psychological enmeshment with food coming from? Okay, because all of this stuff that you've been doing, diet culture, how to, using food to cope with all these things, thinking that dieting's the answer, calorie counting, all of that, that was learned. Okay, hating your body, shaming your body, thinking you have to be a perfect goal weight in order to be beautiful and worthy of love, that's all learned. Okay? You did not come into the world like that. You didn't. You came into the world knowing how to eat intuitively, knowing how to trust your body, where food was just food, food was fuel. You watch how little kids eat, they don't eat like this. Okay? So this is not how you were born into the world. All right, so all this crap, all this shit that's going on up in your head, and the sabotage and all that, that's learned. That is learned. So you have to go in and unlearn it. Okay, so if you guys are just joining us, we're busting some myths and talking about what mindful eating really is, because there's this huge myth going around that mindful eating is just about slowing down, savoring, and paying attention. And that's just that bit of the picture. Okay, it's a much bigger picture. So mindful eating is about getting to the root of why you've been eating in the first place, way deep down. Okay, and a lot of the times these things are from like childhood. They're from way back. They're from watching your mother's or your father's relationship with food. They're from just the role food played in your family. If you watched, people dieting all the time, if, portions were huge, if you were part of the clean plate club and they were saying like making you feel guilty for not cleaning your plate. There's starving kids in Africa, right? Or you can't go out and play. You can't just go do whatever you want until you finish your plate, right? So it's all of these patterns, all these habits, all these stories, all these cycles that have been kind of imprinted on you since you were a kid. And some other people, it's a trauma that started it. Some people don't struggle with food their entire life, but then they lose somebody. They get sexually assaulted. A breakup where, the boyfriend was telling her always like, lose weight, you need to lose weight, you're not beautiful, and, making her feel ashamed of herself. So it can be a trauma. It can be an inciting incident that starts this obsession with food, this obsession with weight loss. Starting to compare yourself to other people, not liking what you see in the mirror, obsession with the scale, constant counting, constant tracking, that can be started later in life by a trauma. It can also just come from years and years and years of conditioning, right? Years of looking on social media and just seeing all this diet bullshit and, doing all the diets that contradict each other. So you could just have years and years and years of confusion and, mixed messages going on. Okay, so all of these things create all these beliefs, these patterns, all these habits, all this stuff that's just, all mixed up in there. And that's what is creating your mindset around food, around beliefs about your relationship to food, the role food plays, your self-worth in regards to the food. All of that is being created by all this other stuff. Okay, so mindful eating is about going in there and unlearning all of that, unwinding the clock. Okay, taking it all back to basics so that you can start relearning how you were born to eat, without shame, without guilt, without restriction, without deprivation, without rules, without diets. Just trusting your body, listening to your body. Do you trust your car to tell you when it needs gas? Yeah, ding, the little light comes on. All these little things telling you what it needs. Well, your body's the same way. All right, so it's very good at telling you what it needs, but over all these years, you've been taught how to forget. You've been taught to not trust your body and not listen to it and think that its signals are bad and need to be crushed. Okay, so you're just cut off at the head, disconnected from your body. So mindful eating is about reconnecting that so that you can start listening to your body again, start being guided by your body and re-speaking the language of your body. So one of the things we do is we go in there and we hunt down the triggers. Okay, so emotional eating, if you're a stress eater or bored or anxious, maybe there's certain people, certain places, certain situations that make you want to eat. Okay, so these are all triggers, and there's tons of triggers out there. There's probably a boatload of triggers going on for you that you are not even aware of. I guarantee you, every client I've ever worked with, I find about 5 or 6 triggers for them that they're like, holy shit, I had no idea this was even here. Okay, I'm like a freaking trigger bloodhound. I can sniff those puppies out like nobody's business. So we go into the triggers and then deactivate the triggers so that whenever you're stressed, bored, anxious, any of those triggers hit, you don't go to food. We actually physically rewire your brain, create new pathways in your brain so that you don't go to food for coping and all of that. So we completely rebuild your relationship with food from the ground up. Okay, go back to basics and, rebuild it. And not just the relationship with food, the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your body, so that you're not looking in the mirror, shaming it and picking it apart and feeling bad and letting a scale determine how you're going to feel about yourself that day. And, constantly comparing yourself and thinking you're not beautiful. We rewire that too. So when you look in the mirror, you're just like, wow, that goddess is so beautiful. Okay? So completely rewiring your mindset around yourself too. Okay? And then we also go in and clear all those fears, fear of failure. How many of you guys have a fear of failure of like, I just can't fail again. I can't lose the weight and then gain it back again. I just can't. Okay, that's massive fear thinking. Okay, that kind of fear is keeping you paralyzed. Okay, because when you have that intense of a fear of failure, you're not going anywhere, because just even taking a step forward is terrifying to you. Okay, so you're paralyzed by fear when you're in that mindset. So we go in and we clear those fears, those limiting beliefs of I don't deserve, I'm not worthy, I'm a failure. All of this crap that you've accumulated over the years, all these beliefs about yourself, I'm too addicted to the sugar. It's hopeless. This will never change. All of those limiting beliefs that are keeping you trapped, keeping you self-sabotaging, keeping you stuck, we rip those out, clear those out. And then we rework old patterns and clear the shame around food so that you can eat without beating yourself up for it. That's where that peace happens. When food no longer has emotion in it and it's just, food is just food. That's when that freedom happens. Okay, so when you do all of this, when you deactivate the triggers, you hunt them down, rewire your brain, and then clear all the emotional stuff and reconnect with your body. Whole new world. Whole new freaking world. It is going to blow your little socks off. Okay, you're not even going to recognize yourself. You're not even going to recognize your mindset. It's going to be like hitting the reset button and going back to how you thought about food when you were like 4. Okay, so this is where that peace happens and that confidence. I tell my clients all the time that it's like, this is about giving you the confidence to where I could plop you down in like a Las Vegas buffet and say, go. And you would be able to go like, all right, I want this, I want this, I want this. Be able to just take what you want, eat what you want, eat everything you want, get all the foods that you want, and walk away feeling awesome. You didn't overeat, you didn't binge, and you're like, okay, I'm ready for the day. That kind of confidence, that kind of peace with food, that kind of emotional detachment from food. Imagine a world like that. That's how my clients are going on cruises and, rocking their swimsuits, not even thinking about the buffet. That's how I've been able to maintain my weight. I lost 80 pounds with mindful eating, and I've been able to maintain it effortlessly for 11 years. And now I go back and I teach other women how to do this. Okay, so that's how powerful this stuff. When you sever all of those connections to food, all those emotional and psychological enmeshments with food, whole new world. So that's why I wanted to get on here and clear that up, because that's not what people talk about when they say mindful eating. All right, all these books, all these websites, you know, anybody with a smartphone can Google mindful eating and read all these articles, download these books, read all these books, listen to all these people who talk about, like, it's just slowing down, savor, pay attention to how you feel before, during, and after. 4% of the picture, guys. They're not talking about trigger mapping and figuring out your triggers. They're not talking about emotional deactivation. They're not talking about rewiring your brain. They're not talking about clearing the shame and, you know, the traumas around food. Okay, so if you've been feeling stuck, self-sabotaging, and, you know, just totally controlled by food, you need a lot more deep work than just slowing down, than just cutting out carbs, than just restricting your calories. You need to go a lot deeper. And that is why I've spent the last 11 years like getting this stuff down and creating my program, Take Your Life Back, which is a 16-week mastermind, where in 16 weeks I guide you through how to do this. So you get out on the other side, no food addiction, no emotional eating, no binging, and you are just loving the goddess you see in the mirror. That's what mindful eating is. And that's what I do in my program. So if that is like you're thinking here, sitting here going like, oh my God, I need this. That is exactly what I need. If the diets haven't been working, that's why. Because those triggers are still activated. They're still in there. Those stories are still on repeat. The pathways in your brain are still going to food for everything, because that's what you've learned. That's what you've been taught. It's not your fault. That's what our culture has taught you how to do. So it's not because you did something wrong. And you still have all this fear and shame and guilt and, you know, limiting beliefs and old patterns in your head. And until all of that changes, you are going to be stuck exactly where you are. Because that's where you've been stuck for a long time, right? Unless you make big changes, you're not going to have big changes in your life. You need to go down, do the work, go into the basement, clean that shit out. Then you can have a whole new world. All right. So I hope that helps, you know, clear up some of that confusion and give you some more clarity about what mindful is, why it is so fucking awesome, why it is a game changer, why you should come learn how to do this and empower yourself so you don't have to battle with food anymore. All right. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Happy Friday. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hello. Good morning, ladies. Hello. How are you, loves? Okay, so we're just going to dive right into some fucking vulnerability right now, because I'm going to be super honest with you guys right now. Like looking at myself in the phone right now, I just feel super self-conscious, because doing lives, getting on here, like going live to the world, scares the crap out of me every single time. True story. You may have been following me for a while and you'll see me go like live off, and that's because I'm like battling some gremlins and like, oh my God, it has to be perfect. If I fuck it up, like start over. So yeah, doing this kind of stuff is really scary for me. It's really hard, you know, putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. And you know, like it's scary stuff. It's scary stuff. And you know, right now I have like freaking yoga hair. Don't care. You can't maybe see it, but the whole back of my head is like dripping wet with sweat, but it felt awesome. But on the drive home today from yoga, I was just like super inspired. And so I wanted to get on here, freaked out and all, you know, to talk to you guys about like success. Let's talk about success and what it takes to be successful. Okay. And you know, one of the biggest things that stands in the way of success is this whole perfectionism thing. Who here has a perfectionism issue? Oh, somebody just got on. Hello. Good morning. All right. When you guys get on live or replay, show some love. I want to see some hearts. It's always good to get some hearts. Type your name down below. Let me know who's watching, who's here. Good morning. So yeah, so we're talking about vulnerability, success, and perfection this morning. So yeah, this whole perfection thing can be freaking debilitating, dude. You know, like the first time when I first started my business, here's a funny story. I first started my business, I spent like months, like weeks and weeks and weeks, creating this new website. And I was like obsessing over every single little detail. And when I finally got it, I was like, it's perfect. It's perfect. I can release it to the world. I showed a friend of mine and she was like, I don't like it. Right? That was just like such a horrible, hard moment because like we want it to be perfect. But you know, that's the thing is like perfectionism is such a fucking illusion. It really is. Like everybody's definition of perfection is different. So this whole idea that we're keeping ourselves small and not going after the things we want because we're afraid that they won't be perfect, we won't do it perfectly, is just freaking crazy. It's just so crazy because like whose definition of perfect are we going after here right now? Right? So, you know, there's just so much power in just stepping in and just being like, I'm just going to be fucking imperfect and I'm going to show up anyway. I'm just going to do it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like always scared, super, super scared to do lives, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm showing up, even though I'm scared, even though I'm worried, like, oh my God, am I going to screw it up? Am I going to say the right thing? Still showing up because it's important to me, you know? And, you know, this is something that I tell my clients all the time, and I'm going to share this with you guys, is, you know, 90% of success is just showing up. No matter what, just show up. And, you know, like, show up how you are. Show up how you are. Like, I'm showing up scared. I'm telling you guys, like, I'm freaking scared right now. I'm shaking in my boots. And, you know, I tell my clients all the time, it's like, you know, show up to the calls, show up to the coaching calls, even if you had a really freaking rough week, even if it didn't go, you know, the way you want, even if you know, feel like you failed. Show up scared, show up vulnerable, show up pissed off, show up frustrated, show up like, this shit isn't working. What am I doing wrong? Show up, you know, I feel like I failed myself. Be honest, be vulnerable. That's the only way to heal and to really get success, is to show up at that level of vulnerability. You know, I tell my clients, it's like, I can't help you if you've just had a total shit week and you're struggling and you're battling all these demons inside, but then you show up on the call and you're just like, yep, everything's good. I can't help you. Okay. So, you know, this whole idea of being vulnerable and owning our shit and saying it out loud, even though it's scary, even though it's hard, even though it's uncomfortable sometimes. So powerful. So freaking powerful. So, you know, there's a lot of courage it takes to be vulnerable, but dude, that's where the power is. That's where the transformation is in that state of vulnerability. And, you know, but the number one thing that keeps us from being vulnerable, that keeps us telling these bullshit stories of, I've got it all figured out, everything's fine, even though you're like, the ceiling tiles are freaking falling from the sky in your mind, it's fear. It all comes down to fear. You know, fear of looking stupid, fear of, you know, not saying it right, fear of judgment, fear of failure. Ooh, that's a big one. Is like, okay, if I show up vulnerable and I lay it all on the line and I still fail, that means there was something wrong with me. That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, or at least that's the story our ego tells us, which is total crock of shit anyway. But that's a whole nother video. But no, it's this fear. It's this fear of not doing it right. You know, we all want to fit in, and we all want to do it right. And so this fear of screwing it up, and what if I'm really truly vulnerable and I really give it my all and it still doesn't work and I still get judged. You know, that's real. That's a real fear, and that can keep you stuck for years. You know, that fear of, what if they don't like me? What if they don't accept me? What if I lose all the weight and I'm still not loved? What if, I completely change my eating and I'm still gaining weight? That level of like fear, that'll keep you trapped, man. That'll keep you from really going in, from really leaning in and being vulnerable. And so many people, like, they want to be vulnerable. We all want to be vulnerable. We want to connect. We want to be honest. We want to open our hearts. We want healing. We want the love. We want the transformation. Everybody wants this. I would be willing to bet, is there anybody here who does not want to fully step into the life they deserve? Who does not fully want that healing from food? If there's anybody who doesn't want that, comment below. Say, no, I don't want success. I don't want to lose the weight. I don't want that. Anybody? It's crickets, right? Nobody wants that. Everybody wants the success, right? There's no such thing as success without vulnerability. No such thing. You can't do it. Because until you're vulnerable, until you can really actually own your story and what is really going on for you and step into that and voice it, you're going to be paralyzed by fear, because you can't crack through that fear wall unless you voice it and say, this is what's going on for me. I'm scared. Right? And this is really hard for people. This is one of the biggest things that's keeping you trapped in this cycle of yo-yo dieting and emotional eating and binge eating is, and this is something I hear all the time, is being so afraid of trying something new and it failing that out of fear, you stay doing the same thing because at least it's familiar. At least it's in your comfort zone. So even though you might know it doesn't work, even if you've done the same diet over and over and over again, and you gain the weight back every single time, it's like, okay, well, that's not the result I want, but at least I know the process. At least I know what to expect. At least I can kind of expect failure. But if I really be vulnerable and say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I'm scared. I feel like I have failed multiple times, and I'm to the point where I don't know what to do anymore. And I need help. And so then taking that and then doing something new, still not knowing if this is going to work. Talk about scary. Talk about vulnerability. It's hard to take that step. But if you want to get where you want to go, it is absolutely necessary. So, vulnerability is our true nature. True nature. But we're taught how to be afraid. We're taught to fear. Okay, so how many of y'all have done Weight Watchers? I've done it 3 times. Didn't work the first time, didn't work the second time, didn't work the third time. And I remember, I'm going to tell you a little story about Weight Watchers, was like, I remember like being in this one meeting where, they were talking all about like, you can eat whatever you want and, but track it. Don't go over your point value. You can be free. You can have all this stuff, but. And I remember feeling like this contradiction, like, how can I actually be like free and eat whatever I want, but you're also telling me to be afraid of the food and to count points? This doesn't add up, right? Anybody felt like that? Of like, just diets are walking contradictions, man. Walking contradictions. They're like, free yourself, lose the weight. But you're going to have to give up your entire life to tracking and food planning and prepping and restricting, and you can't go anywhere and you can't enjoy barbecues. And it's like, come on, really? So, we want to be vulnerable. We want this freedom, but we're taught to be afraid. We're taught to fear the food. We're taught to fear the carbs. We're taught that dieting is the only way out of this. Okay? And that gets so ingrained in our brains that it becomes really, really hard to be vulnerable. So, my question for you today, where in your life are you not showing up for yourself? Where in your life are you holding yourself back because of fear? Because of fear of perfection, because of fear of failure, not doing it right, anything. Where in your life is fear calling the shots and keeping you from really being vulnerable and owning your story and owning your power and being able to catalyze change? Fear does not catalyze change. It keeps you stuck. Okay, so comment below. I want to hear, whether this is live or replay, where in your life is fear keeping you playing small? An example of this could be like just admitting that you don't know what to do. Because this is this is a big one, and I said this so many times of like, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Right? Super, super common, because everybody thinks, I know what foods not to eat. I know how to exercise. I know what, blah, 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 blah. I know what to do. I'm just not doing it. Okay. Well, if you don't have the level of success that you want, there's clearly something you don't know. There's clearly something that there's a disconnect. If you're not where you want to be, there's a certain tool. There's something that's not happening. There's a gap. So you don't know. You might know how to stay in a diet cycle. You might know that really well. But do you actually know how to get out? And I can tell you right now, it does not come from dieting. So if dieting is all you know, do you really know how to get out of this? And so the vulnerability might come from saying, shit, I don't know. I don't have the tools. I'm scared. I know I want to lose the weight. I know I want to overcome this, but I have no fucking clue how to do it. That's vulnerable. Anybody in that boat? Drop it below. All right, so that's kind of where I want to leave you today because I need a shower. I need to wash my gross little yoga hair. But right now, I'm just going to have a moment of vulnerability here with you guys. Right now, I'm really proud of myself. Super proud of myself because if you were at the beginning of the video, I started by saying lives doing this is so freaking scary for me. Because I have a massive perfectionism gremlin. Huge. I can put it in its own house. It's a massive perfectionism gremlin that is like, don't fuck it up. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't offend people. Have it planned out. Know what you're going to say every single word. And then when I try to do that, it's feels scripted and it sucks. And, so there's so much fear for me around just hitting live and just talking. That's so scary for me. It's really hard. But I do it anyway. Because this is my business. And I care so deeply about this. It is my passion helping women get out of the yo-yo diet craziness and healing their relationship with food. That moment when my clients have that where it clicks and they say, I know now I will never have to ever diet again. And they realize that moment they've crossed a threshold. There's no going back. I've seen tears, massive release of tears. I've seen laughter. I've seen joy. I've seen, I cried when I had that moment. I sat on a curb and cried for about 20 minutes when I had my moment where I realized, holy shit, I'm never going back. That's the moment I live for. Is seeing women get that freedom that they've been fighting for and striving for so long. but have been holding themselves back and been living in fear and haven't been able to do until they come and work with me. And so it's like, in order to get that moment, I have to get on here and do lives. I have to talk to people. I have to, you know, teach and show you guys that there's a better way to do this. And that fear will not get you there. And that dieting will not get you there. And that I have all these tools. I have this amazing program to help women do this. And I'm offering that to you. But I can't do that. I can't open doors. I can't heal. I can't give my gifts, my magic to the world if I stay behind a wall of fear because I'm too scared to get on a live. So, here I am. Hello, yoga hair and all, don't care. Scared shitless, shaking in my boots, showing up because this is what I want. This means that much to me. So, if losing the weight and getting success and healing that relationship with food, if that means enough to you, be fucking vulnerable. Be brave enough to be vulnerable and show up and be like, I don't know what to do. Help me. That's what it takes. You can't heal. You can't move mountains. You can't break through walls while you're paralyzed by fear. It doesn't work like that. All right, lovies. I need to go take a shower and then get my day started. You know, breaking down barriers, helping women change their lives, all that jazz and magic. All right, I love you guys so much, and I will see you later. Mwah! Bye.
So who are you? First, last name, the whole deal. Tell me everything.
Hi, so I'm Dawn Michaela, and I was actually born and raised in beautiful Northern California. Went to college down in Los Angeles and lived in San Francisco for a little bit. I am a total food nut, really artistic. I love to paint.
Do you have to cook?
Oh yeah, I actually I'm almost done with writing my first cookbook, so stay tuned.
Are you really writing a cookbook? Nice.
Yeah, so my first cookbook should be available sometime next year.
Sweet.
And actually one of my most proud titles that I slap on myself is ex-food addict.
Oh, good.
I used to be have a lot of food addiction and just addicted to diets and just be stuck in this horrible cycle. So I now...
So not just like the food, certain foods, but just like diet in general.
Dieting in general.
You would jump from one to another.
Addicted.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad. I did it for I went on my first diet when I was 12. You know, and you know, the sad thing is, like, I wasn't even overweight at 12. I just was like looking at all the skinny girls and comparing myself to them and was like, why do I not look like that? And so, you know, went on Weight Watchers with my mom.
That's so young.
In 8th grade was my first diet, and I stayed on cereal diets all the way till I was about 20. Yeah, about 20.
Well, so when you say ex-food,
I mean,
yeah, like that's,
I'm not joking.
Like you did it all.
I did it all. I did crash diets. Oh God. I know I did Weight Watchers, I did Jenny Craig, I did Atkins, I did, which is kind of similar to keto. I did South Beach, and I came up with weird ones on my own too, like diets that I don't even know if they're actual diets.
That you put together?
I put together, like, I remember my freshman year of high school, I was like, I'm only gonna eat almonds and cranberries and water, that's it. And so I went on the almond cranberry water diet for, I think that lasted about 2 weeks.
And then you tried something new.
And then I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. And then so I figured out another diet. But, you know, one thing that I don't think people talk about a whole lot when it comes to dieting is actually like what happens behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm not the only one in this boat. I know I'm not, but you know, where you go tell your family and friends and everybody you're working with, I'm on this new diet, and in front of them, you're good, and you're
saying what you're supposed to say.
You're saying what you're supposed to say. They're all seeing you eat your salads, and they're thinking like, oh, good for you, so much willpower. But then when you go home,
it's a whole different
binging. And so I remember like even in high school when I was, you know, dieting and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, I would still go home and I'd sneak chips into my room and,
oh my gosh.
and cookies, and I would like, even though my door was closed, I would get under the covers of my bed and I would
because you knew, like psychologically, you know, you're hiding behind
right.
this.
I wanted to hide as much as possible. Like nobody can see me doing this because they all think I'm on a diet. Nobody can see that what I'm saying isn't what's actually going on.
Right.
So there's so much shame and guilt. And that started at like 13, 14.
So when did you go all in with what you are doing now? So I know when you started telling us a little bit about yourself, you live here in Redding, California. You know, you've got a family, the whole deal. You're single though, right?
Yes.
You're single and beautiful. But all that aside, so now you're doing this, and how long have you been actually passionately and like, I'm all in. This is my new lifestyle. This is my future. This is my life. Like, how long has it been?
Happy 10 years.
Seriously, 10 years?
10 years. So when I was 20, I was a junior in college. Mm-hmm. And that is where either the peak or the lowest, whichever one you want to go with, but that is when it was at its worst, the diet thing. I almost ended up in the hospital because I had actually lost some weight since I graduated high school by doing fad diets. I dropped some, but by the time I got to college, it was really, really bad, and I was so determined to lose the weight. I actually restricted my calories to 500 calories a day, and I was exercising like 2 hours a day on top of taking diet pills. And just like completely crashed my body, and got to a point where I was walking up a flight of stairs and collapsed. And so I finally realized, like, okay, I'm going to kill myself if I keep going like this. So I finally called my mom and told her, like, I need help. And we found a nutritionist that I started working with, and I started telling her what was going on for me, and she realized, like, okay, there's so much more going on here than just you need to change your eating. She's like, there's emotional issues here, there's psychological, that mentally and emotionally I was so twisted up with food, that food was not food, that food was a reflection of my own self-worth, that I was only worth anything if all I was eating was carrots. And like if I ate a cookie, that meant I was fat and I was ugly, and it's just everything. You
had the wrong idea.
Right, just my entire sense of self-worth was wrapped up into food, and you know, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. So you know, naturally I would get into diet mentality. I'm like, okay, I have to fix this. You know, I don't have any other option. I'm going to exercise for 3 hours today. Maybe I'll cut it down to 450 calories just to get myself. But then, like, that's so restrictive, and your body is screaming at you to eat, and it's just causing this chaos. And so then you come home and you completely lose control, and you eat like the entire everything in the kitchen sink, and then you're just like, oh my god, I failed. I'm so weak, I'm horrible, why couldn't I just stick to my diet? I was doing so good all day, and then now I just blow it to crap, you know.
So this call that you made with this nutrition, was that the turning point?
That was the turning point, because she recognized what was going on for me, and she was like, there's a program for mindful eating, and she was like, have you ever heard of mindful eating? I was like, no. She was like, you need this. Like, you have.
So she obviously knew.
Yeah, and she flat out told me, she's like, if you don't do this, you're either gonna kill yourself or you're gonna be stuck in this cycle forever. She's like, you have to do this.
And I love the title, mindful eating. And you're right, very few of us out here in this world know what that is or heard of it. So I'm really excited that you're doing this, and that this is your first intro, because I'm sure that in future episodes we're gonna hear more about what that is. How we relate to it, you know. So I'm super excited about that, and I know that's going to take more episodes. But so mindful eating, and for those watching for the first time, obviously you're going to put some information here in your bio where people can click over and connect and ask more questions. But at the very least, we know that was the turning point, and that's where that was the turning point. And I still to this day I say, like, she saved my life. Wow,
like,
literally.
Yeah,
like,
literally. She saved my life. She grabbed me and yanked me back and made me realize, like, how backwards my thinking was,
And Dawn, that's
just turned
probably,
everything around.
That's probably, you know, where that passion is coming from then, because now you've been there. She literally yanked you out of this hellhole you were in with food, and now you want to share that. You want to save others. You want to.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And the passion actually came a little bit later than that. So first, while I was doing it with her, it was hard. I was completely focused on me. But about a year and a half later, when I felt like, okay, I've got this on lock, I know my tools, like this is now a lifestyle. Then as I was going around and hearing my friends and coworkers talk, and I was hearing all the things that women were saying to themselves about food, and hearing that restrictive thinking, and I was just like, and I just wanted to go up and shake them and just like, stop it,
don't do
please
that.
stop it, like you have no idea what you're doing to yourself, like, and knowing, like, I know where this road goes, like, don't,
been there.
please don't do this, like, don't do this to
And you
yourself,
call that
it's not worth
restrictive.
it. It's restrictive thinking.
Thinking.
Of thinking you need rules and good food versus bad food and staying on plan and all that stuff that you hear women say, like, or just anybody would say, oh, I really want that, but I need to be good.
Yes, right.
I need to be good. That's bad.
That's
like,
restrictive
that's
thinking.
That's restrictive thinking. And
you teach people how to think differently.
Yeah, how to, you know, because a lot of people are in like a battle against food, like it's us versus food. Daily, exactly. You know, you see something you want, and you go, "Ooh, that looks good." No,
I can't have it again.
I can't have it. That
I
would
gotta
ruin
be
my
good.
diet. How many calories? How much time would I have to spend on the treadmill to earn that? Like, you hear that all the time. Like, how much time at the gym is this going to cost me? You hear that all the time. So
It's like a slave.
it is. It
that.
really is. It feels like being in battle all the time, and it is exhausting.
I bet.
Oh my god, it is mentally exhausting. So what I help, I work especially with women. And so what I help women do is like, okay, just breathe first, like just calm down, and I help them realize that just food is food.
Yes.
There is no good, there is no bad, it is just food. All food is on a level playing field. Okay. And when you put yourself in the driver's seat and you learn how to tune into your own body and listen to what your body wants and what it needs, I guarantee you, for those of you watching who are thinking like, without rules, I would eat Cheetos and Twinkies all the time. Your body does not want Cheetos and Twinkies all the time, I guarantee you. So when you start listening to what your body wants, it'll start wanting a variety of things. And that's one of the issues with diets, is it's like you only get to eat these things. Right. And then if you're like, well, what if I want that?
Yeah.
That's not on plan. Sorry, you can't have that. So mindful eating is all about like putting yourself in the driver's seat. You get to be in charge. You get to be the boss of your own body. Don't let somebody else, you know, tell you what's best for you and your body. They can't feel what you're feeling. They don't know what you're thinking. Like, and so to just think that this blanket diet is going to work for everybody and all their different struggles and what they're going through.
Each person's so different.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the things, you know, without going into too much detail, one of the clients I'm working with right now, you know, she lost her father, and in the emotional turmoil of dealing with his death, she started eating as comfort, and it became this wrapped up thing of food and grief became one thing. And then so she gained a bunch of weight, and then she started dieting to try to fix it. And I asked her in one call, I said, like how long ago did your father die? And it hadn't been that long, less than a year. And so I asked her, I said, so you're still grieving. I said, do you really think a diet is going to fix your grief?
Yes.
Like, those two are completely separate. Like, to think that being on a diet and eating is linked to the grief, that you need to separate the two and like let the grief be the grief and let food be food.
Separate.
And don't bring them together. And that was like such a huge moment for her to realize that like she was literally eating her grief.
Again, going back to the mind.
All about
mindful.
All in the mind.
Yeah.
And you know, it just, and it, you know, so some people it's wrapped up in emotion. Other people it is literally just you're not even thinking about it. Like, how many of us have been at a party and you just like sit by the chip bowl and you're just going and you're not even paying attention to it, and then you look and you're like, oh shit, the whole bowl's empty.
The exceptions we make. oh, but I'm at a party.
Right, I'm at a party.
Or,
it's a holiday.
Yeah.
It's a holiday. I'll start my diet tomorrow.
Our mind thinks exactly like that.
I'll start the diet tomorrow. I'll just and the danger of that is so say you're on a diet and you were good all day.
Yes.
And then you're good all day.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep doing quotations. And then you get to a party and you have a glass of wine or something,
right.
and you end up next to the fondue pot.
Yes.
And you're just like going and you just like take down the fondue and then you realize, and then you finally tune in, you go,
yes.
Oh God, what did I do? And then you realize, I just completely blew my diet. Feelings of guilt set in. You feel like I broke the rules, I didn't do what I was supposed to, so then you feel like crap, and then I guarantee you, even if you're shaking your head, no, I don't do this, I guarantee you have, is that you go like, well, I already blew it, so I might as well go crazy for the rest of the party, and then you keep eating. You just keep binging because you're just like, well, I already blew it, so might as well.
Yeah, you step all over yourself. You put yourself down because you already screwed it up, and now you're just that's kind of like your access to have at it.
Right. That's like your green card
and
to your hall pass.
Like you said, this is a daily struggle, and there's more people out there, more women out there. I don't care what age or stage of life, right? We all.
I mean, like I said, I started dieting at 12. I wish somebody, when I was 13 or 14, before it got as bad as it did, would have stepped in and said, stop.
Yes.
Like, let's fix this now because the next, 8 years of your life is going to be hell.
Yes.
If you don't get this under control. I wish somebody would have
done that at an early. But then again, now we have a lot of means communicating this information, like technology and even social media.
Right. And I want to add one thing real quick, to just kind of give people a little bit of hope.
Yes.
Because so many women, when I start talking to them about this, they're just like, oh my God, this is huge. This is really hard. And yes, it is hard. But you guys already know how to do this. We were born as instinctive eaters. You don't see babies binge eating. Mm-hmm. Like they cry, they eat, and then they stop when they're full. Little kids, like you see little toddlers, they'll eat 3 bites of a sandwich and then I'm full, I'm done. We are born to listen to our bodies. We are born tuned in. We actually learn how to disconnect, and we learn how to not pay attention. Like that is all learned behavior. So basically all mindful eating is like hitting the factory reset button on your phone. It's like, okay, let's forget all the crap you've learned and go back to what we were born to do. And
so you're saying it's natural. It should be it's a natural.
It is a natural thing.
Born.
Like, we are all born tuned into our bodies, knowing when we're hungry, when we're not, and knowing when we're full. It's time to stop. It's all these things, for example, if any of you were a member of the Clean Plate Club.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? Okay. So that is basically saying like, okay, you can have dessert when you clean your plate. That is starting to reward overeating. That is rewarding overeating with more food.
Horrible.
So you're starting to teach kids like, if you want the treat, eat more than you actually need to.
And so impressionable at that age too that they begin to think that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. You hear there's starving kids in Africa.
Yeah.
There, things like that. That starts laying the guilt on food of like, it's here,
right.
Eat it. Even if you're not hungry, even if you don't want it, it's a buffet. It's free. Eat as much as you can.
Go back
and
again.
What's funny about that? Buffet versus really expensive food, whether it's free at a potluck or $100 a plate, you hear the same thing. You hear it's free. Eat it up.
Yes.
Or I paid good money for this. You better
eat
every
bite.
The
whole thing.
So it doesn't matter whether it's free or expensive. It's still eating more than you need, and our whole culture is teaching us to eat more and to disconnect. And you can have an extra large fry for just 69 cents more. Awesome. And it's like, you don't need that. Your body doesn't need that, but it's like our whole culture is driving us to think you do.
You're saying there is a way to go back to that reset and say, I'm starting over and I'm starting the way I was meant to.
Yeah, it's relearning how we were meant to eat. And like you look back, like diets are relatively new in the history of the world.
Yeah.
The Egyptians weren't dieting.
Hey, that's a good point.
This was not, like, this is a new phenomenon.
Yes.
And it's not how our bodies were designed. Our bodies were not designed for this. Our psyche was not designed for this. Our emotions were not designed for this. So
we created that.
We created it. This is not how eating is supposed to be.
So for the people that are watching for the first time, and those, like I said, those women that are like, oh my gosh, what she's saying, I am totally resonating with what she's saying. I want to know more about this. I want to know more about, what it takes, what I need to do, what this reset button. I want to reset.
Right.
I know you're going to share with us a little bit about what future episodes will look like here on IGTV, but for now, for those that are like, I want to talk to this girl now, how do they reach you? What do you...
So many ways. I'm everywhere. So
you have a website?
I do. So you can go to www.donmichaelanutrition.com to read a little bit more about my story, read about my coaching program.
It's DonMichaelaNutrition.com.
And you can read about my coaching program if you want to work with me one-on-one. If you want to just learn more about this and see more videos and interact with some other women who are struggling with the exact same things, and you can support each other. I have a completely free all-women Facebook group, and I will provide the link. If you raise your hand or comment and say, yes, I want in, I will message you the link to come join us, and you can get in on that conversation. And I talk a lot about what mindful eating is, the common struggles. I'm actually doing a Facebook Live later this week about addiction to sugar.
Oh, very nice.
So if you've been feeling addicted to sugar, out of control on sugar, that's something I'll be addressing.
So this invitation to your Facebook group, it's a private group?
Private group.
And
nobody else can see.
Nobody else can see, and then it's free, obviously, so
free.
no strings attached. People can just come in and be part of that, listen to your videos, interact, whatever.
Yep.
And I know I watched one that was powerful, that I personally was like, oh my gosh, I can totally relate what you said. In fact, I cried when you cried, because it was so good. And so
I wasn't expecting that.
Yes,
I
know what it was, because when you were reading, I could tell this was totally raw. You were not expecting, but it teared me up because I'm thinking I felt your pain, and I've been there too. And so just for those that are watching that want to be part of that group, that's the kind of stuff that you share intimately with that group, that core group. So
yeah, I share a lot of my personal experience, struggles I went through, because I think that's a lot of the problem, again, with diet mentality or diet culture is they put up all the success stories about, like, Mary did this diet and look at her results, but you don't realize, you see it, but you don't think about it. Under there, they say results not typical.
Yes.
Okay, they, like, all the diet pills, all the diets, they show that that's
not the norm.
That's what sells you. That's what gets you in, that one person's result. But they're even telling you,
not typical.
This doesn't happen very often because diets don't work. That is not how we're built. So they have to legally say, this probably won't work for you. That's basically they're telling you. But because we measure ourselves up against that, well, Mary did it, so why can't I? We don't talk about the struggles. It's like once you go on the diet, everybody just expects it to be hunky-dory, and you're just going and you're doing your food plan and everything's great.
And the struggles are at the heart of the problem.
The struggles are the heart of it. It's what happens behind closed doors. It's what happens in your heart and your mind the whole time. And because you're not supposed to talk about that,
right?
Like, women just carry that inside by themselves, and they think they're alone. They think, well, because Mary's so successful, I'm the only one failing at this. And you carry that, and you think you failed, and that you're the problem, and you have this weight on you all the time. And so when you come join this group and you start seeing other women's stories and what they're struggling with, you're just like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one.
And that is so encouraging. Yeah, that is what fuels people. I know it fuels me to stay, to stay positive with you and not have that struggle and that challenge and that relationship, as you call it, with food, which I want to hear more about in future episodes. So, okay, so we got to wrap it up because my goal was to keep this under 30 minutes, and we're at 23 minutes.
Woo.
Yay! So,
time flies when you have fun.
That's right. So this is your intro, your very first IGTV intro channel. So anybody that is watching this, please subscribe, follow Dawn, and again, you're going to post your information right as to how people can reach you.
So you can reach me in upcoming episodes. Things that I'll talk about is I'll go a little bit more into why diets don't work, and actually why serial dieting, yo-yo dieting is actually so bad for your health. You're actually hurting yourself, physically as well as mentally and emotionally when you're doing dieting. So that I'll be talking about that. Like I said, I'll be talking about sugar addiction in the group, just little mindful eating tips and tricks. I'm not about I'm not going to give you anything unless you work with me. Like,
your wealth of information.
The reason I do this is because I don't want women to go down the same path I did. Like, I don't want to see anybody there. When I hear people's stories saying that they're suffering, it breaks my heart. So I don't want to be like, oh, I see you're suffering, but hook a price tag. So
Right.
like, I'll only help you if
Yes.
I don't want to do that. So I give away little tips and tricks, and I do little kind of mini coaching sessions on my private group. And then just kind of teaching you how to adopt mindful eating and integrate it into your life and just repair your relationship with food so that it's not so stressful.
That's awesome, Dawn.
Painful.
Well, thank you for sharing all that, and we'll leave it at that. And everybody, again, tune in and come back for more. Thanks, Dawn.
Hi everybody, and welcome to tonight's live on emotional eating. So while people are starting to tune in, whether you're watching live or on the replay, I'd like you to either like or heart or comment below if you have been struggling with emotional eating, or feeling completely powerless to food, and like it just calls your name and you feel like you're completely powerless against it. So if that feels like you, please like, heart, and comment below, and I'll respond. So tonight I wanted to talk about emotional eating, and when it comes to emotional eating, I hear so often people think that it's just an issue with self-discipline, and that they just feel like they lack the discipline to be able to control their eating in emotional situations. But in my experience, in coaching and working with women on this, and in my own experience, that is rarely the case, actually. And when you think about it, if it was actually just an issue of self-discipline, and you just needed to dig down and get the discipline in order to control your eating, then you would be able to do that without torturing yourself with meal plans and diets, and spending all this money for dieting, and paying all this money and being constantly obsessed with food. If it was just as easy as, oh, I just need more discipline, then it would be like telling yourself, I need to wash the dishes right after dinner instead of leaving them in the sink. Like, that takes discipline. In order to really tackle emotional eating, it's so much more than just self-discipline. So when it feels like food just has total power over you and you're just completely powerless to it, there's almost always something else going on under the surface, whether we're aware of it or not. So tonight I want to dive into like the 5 most common things that go into emotional eating. So the first one is actually just being mindless, not paying attention, or just being just unaware of what you're doing when it comes to eating. And this is really common, like when you start seeing, you go out to dinner, and even after you're done, you're just kind of picking at the plate still. Or you go to a party and you're just standing by the chip bowl and you're just kind of just eating, you're just kind of doing like that. So that's being mindless. You're not even really paying attention. You're engaged in something else, and you're just doing this motion. Okay, so that's kind of being mindless. And the solution to that, if that's where you struggle, the solution to that is just becoming more mindful, starting using mindful eating in order to pay attention and really be present with what you're doing and be conscious of the fact that you're eating. And that actually goes into our next 2 points too, that takes mindfulness a little bit deeper. So the second point is if food is like your only source of pleasure, if when you need that up, if you need to feel better, you turn to food as your source of pleasure, as your source of reward, things like that. Oh, thumbs up, Lonnie. Hi, thanks for tuning in. So if food is your only source of pleasure or reward, then that can definitely fuel overeating. Because when one of the things that I commonly hear from some of my clients is they say like, well, without food, I would have nothing to look forward to at the end of the day. Like, that's my reward. Like eating ice cream at the end of the day, that's my reward. How will I reward myself without food? And so the way we tackle that in mindful eating is to start building tools and start building other strategies to reward yourself in other ways. And I know that that's easier said than done, and it really is, but starting to create a roadmap for yourself of what are some other ways that you can give yourself that high, that reward that you're searching for. Because also one of the issues when it comes to using food as a source of pleasure, actually when we eat sugars and fats, it releases opioids in our brain. So, and opioids are the key ingredient in things like cocaine and heroin. So they actually do give us that kind of that rush feeling, that sense of calm, that sense of pleasure that those kind of drugs give us. That's why they're so addicting. So food actually does give us that sensation, and so kicking that habit can be kind of like detoxing from drugs, and it can be really, really difficult. So the solution is obviously having some support going through that, but it is also finding other sources of pleasure. What else can you reward yourself with? And that leads into our third point, which is the inability to handle difficult emotions. And why that leads into each other is because, like I said, when food is just as addicting as, sometimes cocaine and heroin, and you're just feeling powerless, when you start trying to release that and you start trying to become mindful of your patterns, it can cause some uncomfortable feelings to come up. Starting to look at your patterns is not always fun, trust me. It can be really, really uncomfortable. And so when we start feeling these uncomfortable emotions, if we don't have the strategies in order to navigate that properly, we're gonna look to food in order to kind of numb that negative feeling. Like, we don't even want to look at it, we don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel angry, we don't want to feel sad, we don't want to feel depressed. And so we use food as kind of as a number. Okay, so hopefully you're starting to understand that a lot of this stuff is combined. It's not always 5 separate points. So again, like, to kind of loop back a little bit, if you're using food as a source of pleasure, that can become addicting. Okay, and then when you try to break the addiction, it can cause uncomfortable feelings, and then the uncomfortable feelings. Hi, Harrison. Oh, thank you. Hi. So, oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so when you're trying to break that food addiction, it can cause all these uncomfortable feelings to come up. And then when you're not feeling comfortable and you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to feel this right now. Ooh, a cookie. It distracts. It takes us out of that uncomfortable feeling. And, the other thing is, don't worry, Harrison, it's fine. So some of the other things that you need to be aware of is that this whole, like, not really knowing how to deal with negative emotions is actually something we're kind of taught. It's a cultural thing. Our culture doesn't really teach us to handle negative emotions. You hear all these things like turn that frown upside down, or whistle a happy tune. Our culture kind of teaches us to ignore the bad stuff, to kind of sweep it under the rug, don't really look at it. One of the things I hear pretty commonly from some of my clients is there's like, why would I want to feel bad? Like, being angry, being sad is not going to achieve anything, so I should just sweep it under the rug. I don't want to feel it. And they wonder, like, what does looking at it, what does really letting myself feel these negative emotions achieve anyway? And the thing is like, when we have these negative emotions come up and we're sad or we're lonely or we're angry or whatever, if we don't deal with that, if we don't look at it head on, if we don't do some introspection to find out where those negative emotions are coming from, why we're feeling this way, and what we can do to actually make ourselves feel better, on like meet our actual needs, like actually deal with the anger, actually deal with the sadness, we don't have those strategies. We're not taught those strategies. We're taught to ignore it, to sweep it under the rug, to, numb it. And for a lot of us, we've learned to turn to food for that. So food is really our coping mechanism. So anytime we find ourselves in a situation that is unpleasant, we look to food. That is our coping mechanism. And so the solution for that, unfortunately, there's no pill. There's no quick solution to that. The solution to that is to stop running from it, and to learn how to hold those negative emotions and how to deal with them and how to cope with them in a much healthier way. And this is something that in my coaching program, when I work with women on this, we spend a lot of time on these. We spend a lot of time on dealing with those fears and that uncomfortable emotions, and untangling that, and building coping skills and building different skills so that you don't have to look to food for that. Same thing with, if you look to food for pleasure, same thing. Let's build some skills, other ways to reward yourself, other ways to feel better, so that you don't feel the need to only turn to food, that you feel like you would feel lost without food, so that you don't feel that way. The fourth thing that is really, really common when it comes to emotional eating is actually body hate and self-judgment. So this is honestly one of the biggest things, and I actually wrote a couple notes on this because I want to make sure to really, really hit this. So negativity, being mean to yourself, talking down to yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror, looking at all the things that you hate about your body, comparing yourself to women in magazines and just making yourself feel bad, that is negativity and fear and shame and guilt, and that kind of stuff will never inspire people to make positive, long-lasting changes. You cannot hate yourself healthy. You cannot shame yourself healthy. You cannot berate yourself to love yourself. It does not work like that. And I hear a lot of women say things like, I'll stop hating myself once I reach my goal weight. Once I love my body, I'll stop doing this to myself. And it's actually, you gotta flip it. You have to start loving yourself in order to make the changes. In order to get those results, you have to love yourself enough. You have to believe in yourself that you're worthy of that. Because if you're just telling yourself, I'm a piece of shit, I'm gross, I'm ugly, I'm not like that girl in the magazine, I'll never look like that, how is it logical that from out of that is going to birth this, I love myself, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to invest in myself, I'm going to do things that are good for me? Those two don't match up, okay? So if you've been really struggling with body hatred and body judgment and shame and things like that, and you're eating in order to cope with that, because I remember a lot of times when I was struggling with emotional eating emotional eating and overeating, I would stand in front of the mirror, I would get on the scale, and I would just tell myself how horrible I was. I would pinch all my fat rolls. I would look in I would watch all the TV shows and the magazines, and I'd look at all these beautiful, gorgeous, skinny women, and I'd tell myself, you'll never look like that. And, I was terrible to myself. It was horrible. And because I couldn't cope with that, I was just like, you know what? You're already fat and ugly and worthless anyway. Might as well go eat the chips. Right? So when you are berating yourself and being down on yourself all the time, you're not going to be able to make decisions that are good for you, that are lifting you up to be the best person you can be when you're being so hard on yourself. So the solution to this is sorry, a text message just popped up. I'll talk to you later. So the solution to this is actually doing a lot of work of diving down into that and learning to love yourself and learning that you're worthy of being loved by yourself, of being taken care of. So, and again, that is a lot easier said than done. Trust me, I have been there. But that is what another big thing that I handle in my coaching program is learning how to take care of yourself, learning how to love yourself enough to where you're just like, you know what, I deserve this. I'm going to invest in myself. I love myself. I'm awesome. I'm going to eat food because I love and respect myself, and I want to fuel my life, and I want to live the life of my dreams. And like, that's where change comes from. You can never get where you want to go if you keep telling yourself that you are not worthy of getting there. Okay. And then, so the last thing that I want to talk about tonight is pretty simple, and it's just self-care. So when we're not taking care of ourselves, we become really, really susceptible to emotional eating. And that's just things like not getting enough sleep, not listening to our hunger cues. One of the fastest ways to fall into an emotional eating situation is if you are starving. If you haven't eaten all day, and you've been ignoring the fact that you're hungry, and then you find yourself just ravenous and like you could eat a chair, okay, and then you go into like the break room at work and somebody laid out an entire plate of cookies, okay, it is going to be, for anybody, it is going to be virtually impossible to not go eat those, and it's going to be even harder to just eat one, okay. So and then there's other things, like if we're tired, if we're not getting enough sleep, you know, when we're tired and we're foggy and we're not thinking straight, it can be really hard to, you know, to plan, to like, I'm going to make lunch, I'm going to, you know, pack all this stuff for me, or to really make good decisions. If you're just foggy and you're just kind of like blundering through the day, you're just gonna, oh, this is here, I'm gonna eat this, oh, I don't have any food at home, oh, a drive-through. You know, it's gonna be really hard to strategize and to plan and to take care of yourself when you're not taking care of yourself. So just being aware and making sure you're drinking enough water and getting enough sleep, and, you know, moving your body, getting up. You know, sometimes sometimes I'll actually still, like, I'll start craving food if I've been sitting at my desk too long. So sometimes it's even just getting up, taking a walk, walking around the block, drinking some water, going to bed early, making sure that you have snacks and enough foods through the day, so you're never at that just ravenous stage where you'll just eat anything. You don't care what it is. So all of these things combined are really powerful, and this is why so many people struggle with emotional eating for so long. They get stuck in these cycles for decades. I so often am working with women who are, you know, in their 40s and 50s, and they're saying, I've been struggling with this since I was like 20. You know, so this can be a really, really vicious cycle, and it can be really hard to get out of. And dieting, restriction, is not really ever gonna do it, because hopefully through this video you started to understand that the things at play here that cause emotional eating are much deeper than just change what you're eating. You're dealing with psychological issues, you're dealing with emotional issues, self-worth issues. And if you really want to tackle emotional eating, and you really want to get in front of it and kind of beat it in a way, you've got to be willing to go down into the depths and do the work, and kind of clear that, and build self-love, and build the knowing that you're worthy and that you're worth it. You have to start taking care of yourself. You have to start building other tools to deal with negative emotions, so you don't feel the need to reach for food. You need to start building other ways to feel pleasure, to reward yourself, so you don't have to go to food. And then just being mindful, paying attention when you're eating, being aware of what's going on for you emotionally, psychologically around food. When are you wanting to eat? Starting to just pay attention to all of that, so then being mindful. And all of this is stuff that I go into in much, much more depth in my coaching program. I wish I could sit here and give it all to you guys right now, but we would be here for quite a while. So I'm pretty much going to sign off and leave you guys with that. But if you have any questions, please don't feel please don't hesitate to ask. And also, for the women out there, if if this resonates with you and you want more support, you want more information, you want to be part of a group of other women who are on the same journey, join my Facebook group. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to put the link to the Facebook group above. So it is a women's only group. So women, please come join my group and join this awesome conversation. And if you are interested in coaching too, comment below and I'll send you a link to we can hop on a call. Sorry, Harrison, no, it's a women's only group. But if you are interested in coaching or hopping on a one-on-one call with me, just to kind of talk about where you're at and if you've been looking for changes and seeing if the coaching program's right for you. If you're interested in that, why don't you type below like talk to me or I want to talk to you, and I'll shoot you a link to set up a one-on-one call with me, so we can maybe talk about getting you in coaching and starting to make these changes that we talked about. So I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you guys do the same. I will be on here much more frequently doing lives, answering your questions. So I really encourage you guys, if you have any questions, please comment, message me, and I'll be on here answering your questions and just popping in to say hi because I love you. So I'm gonna sign off. I love you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Hey, what's up everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, so who is ready to break up with dieting, put this struggle with food behind them for good, and overcome food addiction? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. I want to see some hearts going up. If you guys are ready to do this, ready to do this, fill the screen with hearts right now. Just who's ready to do this? Okay. So if you guys are new to my page, new to me, my name's Dawn Michaela, and I'm a master mindful eating coach, and I specialize in helping women break out of food addiction and emotional eating and, you know, decades and decades of, you know, dieting and, you know, gaining the weight back after they lose it and just feeling obsessed with food. I specialize in helping women break out of that, okay? And I have a program that I have that, you know, in 16 weeks gets women through breaking up with this and freeing themselves from this and getting out of this, getting on with their lives. It's a really get in, get it done, you know, kind of program. So you can start living your life without dieting, without this constant obsession, okay? And, you know, one of the biggest things that holds people back from really making big changes in their life is fear, okay? So your brain, as much as, you know, we love our brains and it has your best interest at heart, it can be kind of an asshole sometimes, okay? So one of the things about your brain is it doesn't really like to do something that it doesn't know what the outcome is going to be. Okay, so your brain does not like uncertainty. All right, so it really loves your little comfort zone. It really loves, like, even if the diets are failing, even if you keep gaining the weight back, at least your brain knows what the outcome is going to be. Okay, so it kind of feels safe there. So going back to the diets is kind of like, okay, we don't like this, we're not happy, but at least we're like, we know how to do this, right? So, you know, when I talk to women all the time about like, okay, let's do this, let's break you out of this, just these massive amounts of fear come up because they're not sure. They're like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, how are we gonna overcome this? Like, my brain can't compute. Like, you know, steam's coming out of their ears because they can't figure out, okay, how are you actually gonna do this? Okay, what's the roadmap? How are you gonna get me out of this? So, boom, all right, that's what we're doing today. Okay, I'm gonna lead you through exactly, boom, 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 step by step, the 10 steps that we're gonna cover to get you out of this. And this is what we're going to do in just 16 weeks. So that's 4 months. So that's what, like July, like August, September, October. No. Okay, so you could be done with this by November. Okay, so you could head into the holidays not struggling with food, having all like a fully stocked toolbox to get through the holidays without food addiction, without dieting, without having to, you know, worry about holiday weight gain, or, you know, making a New Year's resolution. How freaking great would that be? Okay, you could be out of this, done, finish for the rest of your life by November, okay? So the first thing, so, you know, when women first enroll with me or they get on, they join the program, they're so scared, okay? And I always tell them on our first call, like, it's okay to be scared. Okay, this is a big change, All right, you're doing a big thing here. You're challenging the heck out of your ego. You're pushing your mind in a direction it doesn't really want to go. You're stepping outside your comfort zone. That's where growth happens. Okay, so if you're uncomfortable, good. We can deal with fear. Okay, so the first thing that we do is break you out of that fear. Do a massive, go in there and scrub your brain out. So all the fears, all that negative self-talk, that constant judging yourself. I'm fat, I'm a failure, I can't do this, the food's too powerful. All of that, all those limiting beliefs that have been keeping you self-sabotaging. First thing, rip those out. Okay, start installing new beliefs. So within a week or two, the fear that you're feeling is going to be gone. Okay, and you're going to start having a much, much healthier conversation going on in your head. So that's first thing right out of the gate. Second thing is starting to reconnect you with your body. Okay, so we're going to start teaching you how to start listening to your body again. What's the language, the hunger, fullness cues, okay? So how to start really listening to your body and breaking down, there's 3 types of hunger. Did you know that? 3 types of hunger. So there's physical hunger, there's emotional hunger, and psychological hunger, okay? And you guys have probably felt this of I'm hungry, I want food, but I'm not actually hungry. What's going on? Okay, that's emotional hunger or psychological hunger. So teaching you how to tell the difference and how to handle each one. Okay, so that's just second thing right out of the gate. And then the third thing that we're going to do is teaching you how to slow down that knee-jerk reaction. Okay, so how many of you guys, from the time you first think about food, it's you're putting it in your mouth before you even are really thinking about it. It's just such a quick reaction. Okay, so this is that process of slowing that down a little bit. So give you a little bit more time so you're not just immediate, gut reaction putting food in your mouth. Okay, so slowing that down. And just that alone, guys, you're gonna, if you've been feeling out of control with food, just this alone, game changer. Such a game changer, just to give you a little bit more space and to feel like you're more in charge of your thoughts and your experience around food. Okay, so right there. Thing number 3, we're only on thing number 3. We got 10, okay? And just these first few things are just gonna be a massive change in your relationship to food. Fourth thing is, what if I'm not hungry? What do you do when the desire to eat hits, but you're not actually hungry? What do you do? Right now, I'm going to guess you don't have a plan. You don't have tools. You don't know. Because the diets have been telling you, well, just ignore the hunger. Eat celery. Drink water. Ignore it. Crush the cravings. No. Don't do that. That's just going to make it come back even harder. I'm sure you guys have probably experienced this. When you try to crush the cravings, they just get stronger. Who's experienced that? If it's just the sugar just keeps coming for you, right? So, teaching you what to do, actually what to do when you find yourself hungry or wanting to eat, but you're not actually hungry, okay? Giving you a whole bunch of tools for that. Fifth thing is starting to really root out those triggers, okay? So we're doing a deep dive into what has been driving your eating, okay? All those nasty little gremlins down there, I'm not enough, sugar addiction, what's causing the sugar addiction? What's causing you to feel so out of control? What are all your emotional triggers? Maybe there's a trauma down in there. Maybe there's some grief. Maybe there's, some old childhood stuff that just never got dealt with. Maybe there's just all these old programmed beliefs, tons of guilt and shame around food. Who is a member of the Clean Plate Club? Things like that, to where you have guilt around not finishing your food. Okay, that's a definite trigger. Huge trigger. Okay, that could possibly be standing in your way. So the fifth thing we do, is really go in and start hunting down those little gremlins, those little triggers, and start cutting ties with them. So guess what? They have no power over you. They're still gonna be technically there, but they're not wired. They're not connected. They have no power. So you could be sitting there flicking them all day long. Nothing. You're not going to be triggered to eat. Okay, so that's like another game changer moment. Okay, so then we start rewiring your brain. Rewiring your brain. Physically rewiring your brain, guys. Rewiring your brain to make different food choices. Big one. Freaking big one. Okay, so if you've been feeling like, oh my God, I'm addicted to sugar, I just always make the wrong choice, like I drive past the fast food and I always turn in, I can't say no, issues with portion control, feeling like you're just going overboard all the time. Okay, so this is, I actually go through, I help you rewire your brain so that when the desire to eat comes up, whether it's for hunger or whatever, that your brain goes a completely different direction. Food isn't even the go-to. Okay, real quick, Nicole's saying, I even have a hard time with hoarding food. I'll buy way more than I need just in fear that I'll run out. Okay, Nicole, right there, there's some definite limiting beliefs in there, and there's definitely some triggers, some old patterns. I'd be really interested to, dive into that with you and figure out what is really going on, because that can't be solved with dieting. There's a reason you're doing that. And it's not because of the carbs. There's something else going on for you that needs to be discovered, that needs to be rooted out and disconnected. Okay, and that's what we would do. Right here, I could help you do that. All right, so then the seventh thing, now, just now, at thing number 7, we're starting to talk about the patterns, the old habits around eating, slowing down. How do we slow down? Now, a lot of people, I want to bust a huge freaking myth here right now. Okay, this is where dieting starts. Diets just come in, boom, right here, and say, just change the behavior. Just change your habits. Just change, just slow down. Just savor. Just do everything differently. Well, I am sorry. But until you do all of this other stuff, you can't do that. You can't. While you still have triggers engaged and activated that are driving your eating, those triggers can be more powerful than your own willpower. They can be. While you still have fear and all this stuff standing in your way telling you it's not safe, that stay in your comfort zone, don't push yourself, don't do anything scary, while you are still disconnected with your body, while you still can't even tell if this is physical hunger, emotional, or if you're still in that, you can't change your behavior. That's why the diets keep failing you. They're jumping in too soon, trying to make you change these behaviors without changing up here yet. And that's just setting you up for failure. Okay, so that's why this keeps happening. Okay, so just at the very end, near the end, then we start talking about, okay, now that your mindset is cleared up, you are reconnected with your body, you've got all of these tools. Okay, now let's start changing the behavior. Now let's start turning those habits around. Then we go into start building, and actually this is going on the entire time. This is going on the whole time, is building an intuitive movement. Okay, so no more going to the gym or workout regimens or treadmills or anything like that. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Okay, if it doesn't feel good for your body, don't do it. All right, the best kind of exercise is the one you actually do. There's no secret. It's the one you're actually going to do, and the one you're actually going to do is the one you actually enjoy doing. Okay, so a big part of this is starting to go, okay, let's scrap everything you've ever heard about exercise, what you should and shouldn't do, and let's actually start building something you want to do. Novel concept, right? So, for me personally, I haven't stepped foot in a gym in like 5 years. Okay, I started realizing I hate the smell. I hate the sweaty grunting men in the corner. I hate being on the elliptical and feeling like, all the guys are staring at my ass. I did not like it. I did not like it, but I did it for so long because that was what you do, right? You go to the gym. Well, when I started, you know, like really getting into, you know, intuitive eating and, you know, really find like how I wanted to exercise changed. I realized I don't like the gym. I don't. I'm an outdoorsy person. I like to hike. I like to kayak. I like yoga. So I haven't stepped in the gym for years. I just do what feels good for me. I go to yoga when I want to go to yoga. I go for a hike when I want to go for a hike. If my body tells me it wants to stay home and chill in PJs and watch Netflix, that's what we do too. Okay, so like everything is intuitive. I just listen to my body. So I teach you how to do that too. Build that whole new mindset around exercise into one that you're actually going to do. Okay, and then the two last things. Number 9, bringing joy back into your life. Joy is missing from your life right now, baby. If you're struggling with food, it's a symptom of a much bigger issue. You know, it's a symptom of the fact there's no joy, there's no peace, there's no balance in your life, and you're using food to cope with that. Okay, so bringing that joy, that peace, that balance back. Oh my God, that's going to be a huge relief. Okay, and dieting is not helping that. Every time you go on a diet, you're putting your mind in a cage. Does that sound like a happy, healthy, joyful, peaceful place to be? No. So the more you diet, you're just going to be more unhappy, and you're going to lean on food even more to cope with that. That's how that cookie crumbles, man. Okay. So, and then the last thing is like setting you free. Free. Fly, little bird. Okay. You know, this is not something you have to come back and keep doing. You know, I did Weight Watchers 3 times. I did, you know, back in the day before it was called keto, it was Atkins. I did that like a freaking million times. Like, how many times have you done diet after diet after diet after diet after diet and you just keep coming back? Okay, this is not like that. I have never had a repeat client, ever. I'm very, very proud of that. Okay, so when you do this healing, it is truly no going back. You cannot ever diet again after this. It's a whole different world. Whole different world. Okay, so it really is setting you free. But the cool thing, you get support for life, man. I have a graduates group, so after you graduate, you get dropped into this group with a bunch of other amazing women who have also graduated, where you keep supporting each other. We have a monthly graduates call. You still get access to me. You still get a call with me every single month, forever. You have lifetime access to the program and to the modules. So you can keep going back if you need to, you know, a little review or something. But this is lifelong support, man. Once you get me in your corner, I'm there for life. You're not going to get rid of me that easy. Okay, so I just wanted to really, really clear that up for you guys, because if you are struggling with food and you are ready to be done, stop getting in your own way. Stop letting fear take you out of the game. Stop letting your ego come up and tell you it's not safe. You can't do this. The diet's a better way to go. No, it's not. Stop letting your fear take you out of the game. If you need to know, okay, if I do this, this is exactly where I'm going to end up. Boom, here it is. This is what we're going to do. By the end of this, by the time you graduate, fear not going to be holding you back anymore. Your mind is going to be a completely different place, no more negative self-talk, body shame. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to deeply love the woman that you see looking back at you. Okay, and you're going to feel unstoppable. You're going to be reconnected with your body. So you don't need diets. You don't even need a diet, because your body's telling you what it needs, when it needs to eat it, how much to eat. Okay. And you're going to feel so in charge of your life and your food decisions, because everything's just slowing down. Okay. It's not that quick fire. Oh my God, there's food in my mouth before I've even thought about this, right? That's going to be gone. If you find yourself wanting to eat because you're not even hungry, you're going to know what to do there too. Okay. Your brain is going to be completely rewired. So you're not even going to think about food when emotion hits, when stress hits, when anxiety, when all those triggers that normally would have activated and you would have gone to food, you're going to go somewhere completely different. Not even going to go to food. You're going to rework all your patterns and your habits. Not going to be an issue. Okay. And you're going to be doing stuff that you love. Moving your body. Okay. That is how we roll. That is where the end game is going to be. So by the time you cross that finish line, weight is dropping, whole different mindset, whole different outlook on food, changed behaviors, rewired brain, confidence through the frickin' roof. That's how we roll here, man. That's what mindful eating is. Okay, is going and reworking all of this. And this is why this is different than anything you've ever done before. Okay, you will get results with this that you have never even dreamed of. You haven't even felt safe dreaming of, because you're like, never struggling with food again. That's not even possible. I can't even imagine myself not struggling with food. Well, start imagining it, baby, because it's right here. This is the recipe. All right. So if you are ready to do this, really, really ready to do this, and you don't want to struggle with food anymore, I'm going to drop the link below. If you want to learn more about working with me, if you want to learn more about my program, and you want to do this, you want this recipe, come join our program. It's awesome. 16 weeks, in and out. Sever all of this with food and just get yourself rocking, get yourself back on track, get yourself living the life you want to live without all this shit with food, okay? Because you deserve better than that, guys. You really do. You don't deserve to be spending and wasting your life counting calories and tracking points and worrying about food and, you know, constantly being obsessed with the scale and your weight. Your life is bigger than that, man. This is not what you were put on earth to do, okay? So if you want free from this, you don't want to diet anymore, boom, here you go. All right, I'm going to drop the link below. All right, if you guys have any questions, please drop them below, and I'd be happy to pop on and answer them for you. All right, I got to get on, start helping women bust through fears. You know, just another Tuesday. All right, I love you guys. See you later. Bye. When people think about mindful eating and what it is and what it means, a lot of times they think that it's just slowing down while you're chewing, you know, lighting some candles, turning on some music, being more present while you're eating. And while yes, that is part of it, and that is a beautiful practice that I absolutely recommend, it is so much bigger and so much deeper than that. And it's important to realize that it can be pretty easy and straightforward to do that, to slow down and be present when you're in a non-stressful, non-emotional situation, like you're just having a calm dinner at home. But where mindful eating practices are their most valuable and most powerful and most transformative is in those moments that are not peaceful, where we're feeling like the world is crumbling, when it feels like everything is going wrong and just food is taking over and we feel completely powerless. That's where the power is. So a perfect example of this is when I start working with a new client, I have them start keeping a journal. And this journal is not for them to log what they're eating. It's for them to start logging what they feel and what they think, what's going on physically in their body, where they are, what kind of situation they're in, who they're with, when, before, during, and after eating. And when they start this journal, 9 times out of 10, they start so strong. They're doing it beautifully. They're on top of it. They're on track. They're logging everything. But then as kind of the week goes on, as life happens and some stress comes up and they have a bad day at work or something like that, I'll start seeing things that just say like binge or overate, or they won't even put an entry in. And they absolutely don't put something like what they were thinking or what they were feeling down. And the reason for that is because when that happens, their mindset just goes straight to, I'm a failure, this is a train wreck, this has all gone wrong, I don't even want somebody to know that this happened, so I'm not even going to log it, I'm not even going to record it, I'm just going to kind of put it behind me, sweep it under the rug, and I'll start my journal again tomorrow when I'm back in control. And this cycle just keeps going around and around and around. And actually that cycle might sound familiar because that is a very similar cycle that we get into when we diet. You start strong. You're on top of your food plan for the the first couple days, the first week or so. But then as life happens, as stresses come up, and then you start feeling like you're going off plan, or you feel like you fell off the wagon, or you ate something that you shouldn't have. And then these feelings of guilt and saying, I'm a failure, this is all going wrong, start to come up. And we just, our instinct is kind of to gloss over it, to not really look at it, to not acknowledge it, and just sweep it under the rug and say, I'll start my diet again tomorrow. The problem with that is that you can't change something that you don't look at. And your relationship with food cannot and will not ever change if you gloss over and don't look at the times when it all goes wrong and when you start feeling completely out of control and powerless to food. Because it is in those moments that all the valuable information is. That is where you're going to discover your patterns and your habits and your belief systems and your feelings and your emotional and psychological triggers and behaviors around food. That's where all of that lies. And that's where transformation can happen, when we start really looking at that and figuring out what's going on for you in those moments that just send you off and make you feel like you're completely losing control and completely powerless. You have to look into those uncomfortable places if you want to make those long-term, lifelong changes and transformations. And jumping from diet to diet to diet is, and just continuing to gloss over, it's never going to change. Trust me, I've tried it. It does not work. And because everything we need to know is in those moments, and if we keep glossing over it and we don't want to look at it just because it's uncomfortable or just because it's scary, and yes, it can absolutely be scary, but the problem is if we don't look at it and we don't learn from it and we don't grow from it and we don't take the information that those moments are giving us, it will keep coming up over and over and over again. And if we continue with the thought process and the desire to just gloss it over and to put it behind us, sweep it under the rug, we'll start again tomorrow, if we keep with that mindset, then every time it comes up, we're just going to want to keep numbing and keep not paying attention. And for those of us that use food and we struggle with food as a coping mechanism, then every time those feeling comes up, we're going to fall into a pattern of looking to food in order to not deal with it and to not look at it. So while doing those, slowing down, chewing slower, putting on some music and lighting candles, well, that is wonderful. Again, that's not the whole picture. And mindful eating is so powerful in those moments that aren't comfortable and that aren't easy. And a key to this, to looking at this and growing from this, is being able to look at what's going on for you in those moments and then being able to accept it without judgment, and not beating yourself up about it and not tearing yourself apart just because of what you're experiencing, of what's going on for you in your head and your heart at any given moment. To just accept that and to treat yourself with love and compassion and empathy, and then to turn to those moments and turn to those feelings and go, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I pull from this? What information is this moment giving me about myself and my habits and my belief systems? And how can I change this? And how can I adjust this? How can I meet my true needs so that I'm not turning to food in these moments? Now, a really good example of this that I work on a lot with my clients is we work on food transitions, and we really look at food transitions, and that is like the start or the end of a meal. And so it's when you're eating and your food is starting to get low, you're getting to the end of your plate, or maybe you're halfway through your plate but you start noticing you're full, things like that. And it's starting to look at what's going on for you in those moments when you're coming to the beginning or an end of a meal. What emotions are coming up for you? Where is your mind going? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling almost a little bit panicky or scared? Is there feelings of sadness or tension coming up? Do you get up and go get seconds even though you're not hungry? Do you skip up and skip to dessert and start eating dessert? Do you maybe pull out your phone and start flipping through social media, or do you turn on the TV as a distraction? So it's really starting to pay attention to your emotions and your behaviors around certain key, possibly triggering points when it comes to food. So we look at this of like parties, social situations, lunch with a friend, when you come home, like eating by yourself, all of those things. We start looking at those and what is going on for you emotionally, psychologically, and physically in your body around those points. And the power of mindful eating is that when you start looking at this and when you stop judging yourself and you cut out all that negative self-talk, and you just accept what's going on for you. And you almost, and I don't want this to sound bizarre, and it might sound a little weird and counterintuitive, but those triggers and that darkness, that dark place that you don't want to look, it almost becomes a friend, because you've talked to it. You know it. You've kind of got this dialogue going. You know what's going on with it. You know where it's coming from, and you know what's going on with it. And the beauty of that is that once you're not scared of it anymore, and once you've looked at it and you kind of know what's going on with it, you can see it coming a mile away, okay? Because you know it. You know its patterns. You know when it comes up. You know how it gets triggered. You know how it operates. You've got that thing nailed down. And so then you can come into any situation and go like, oh, this is a situation that is primed for that thing to happen. And you can see it coming before it even gets to you. Whereas before, it would just kind of like hit you like a Mack truck, you know, and all of a sudden you're out of control and you don't know how to regain that control. But when you start kind of befriending those patterns and those triggers, and you become familiar with them, and you stop judging them and stop hating them and trying to shove them down, and you actually learn from them, you can see them coming a mile away, and then you can navigate them completely. You can make sure that you don't even end up in the situation where those might come up, because you know yourself and you know how it operates, and so you can completely avoid it. Now, I want to share something that one of my clients wrote, and she shared with me today. This is something that came up for her while she was journaling, and she shared it with me, and I asked her, I was like, oh my God, can I please share that with everybody? And she said yes. So I want to read you what she wrote, and this perfectly ties into the power of mindful eating. So she wrote, she said, I'm realizing that I jumped from diet to diet in search of a solution that would finally end my pain, that would be that final Band-Aid that fixed everything. But I'm now realizing that there is no and will never be a diet that can heal my heart, give my mind peace, and make me feel worthy. I'm realizing that the only way to change my eating is to look at all the reasons why I was eating in the first place and what I was trying to numb with food. I think that the most valuable and profound transformations happen in the darkness, when we shine a light into those places that we would rather skip over, numb, and not look at. And so that perfectly sums up the power of mindful eating. It is learning how to shine a light into those dark places that we have been trying to skip over and numb and not look at for such a long time. But everything that is driving your eating, driving your emotional eating, driving binging, driving any kind of over restriction, deprivation, all of those reasons are in the darkness, and there is no way that you can ever overcome those unless you look at them, and unless you deal with it, and unless you learn from it and stop judging yourself and stop beating yourself up. Remember, one of the things I always say is you cannot hate yourself healthy. You have to be able to look at what's going on for yourself with love and compassion, and then grow from it and learn from it. So my challenge to you is to stop beating yourself up, to stop looking to diets and external things and rules and deprivation in order to fix what those things cannot fix. To stop running from the pain, to stop running from the darkness, and instead pause, slow down, turn around, look at it, see what's going on, learn from yourself, learn from your experiences, your emotions, what is going on in your head, your thoughts, and figure out how you can grow from that. And I guarantee that you will start experiencing transformations and growth that you never experienced on a diet. And to start just loving yourself and accepting yourself for whatever is going on for you in whatever moment. And don't tear yourself down just for having a human experience of emotion. So I'm going to leave you with that. And as always, if you are interested in coaching, or if you have any questions or comments on this video or anything about mindful eating or dieting, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can always comment below. I love talking to you guys, and you can ask your questions, and I will always answer them below because I love you. So have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you guys later.